Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for coming, and I apologize for the lateness. If everyone's ready, I'd like to welcome you to the Peel District School Board and to this public meeting. I call this meeting to order and ask for you to stand with us as you are able for the land acknowledgement and our national anthem.
We would like to acknowledge
that we are here today
on the traditional territory
of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation.
Nous tenons à reconnaître que
nous sommes sur le territoire traditionnel
des Mississaugas de la
Première Nation de Credit.
O Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command. Quand on brasse et porte le pays, il sait porter la croix. Ton histoire est une épopée des plus brillants exploits. God keep our land glorious and free. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Thank you very much. We do have regrets tonight from Chair Cameron. Still in item 1, we have the following amendments to tonight's agenda. Additions, 3.5, the extraordinary meeting of the board, October 2nd, 2019. 9.8, special education advisory committee vacancy. 9.9, authorization of trustees' absence. And 12.2, OPSPA Connects, October 7th, 2019. All of those extras should be at your place. Trustee DeCroo?
Sorry. Thank you, Madam Chair. I also have an amendment to the agenda. I'd like to rescind item 9.7.
Sorry. Oh. Sorry, can you punch it again? Sorry.
Is it working?
There, thanks.
I'd like to rescind item 9.7, which is a deferred motion regarding current recycling practices, because my understanding from speaking to administration and from the reports that we've received is that 100% of Peel schools are or will be recycling in a very short period of time. So if the director would just confirm that, I'd like to rescind the motion, because then it's completely unnecessary.
Thank you. I just have to ask if your seconder is okay with the rescission.
Yeah, that would be.
Yes, Trustee Sohi, yeah.
And I also have a question of clarification about the agenda. My understanding from an email that we've received is that there was a delegation that was supposed to come forward before the board. Now, in full disclosure, I have no idea who the delegation is, so if you are in the room, if you don't mind just waving at me, because I don't know. I see we have a big audience. Oh, you are in the room. I saw, walking in, I saw we have a big audience. Yes, so I was wondering what the reason was for not allowing the delegation, because I've never seen that happen before in the past 6 years, and I understand there is a bylaw, but it's
Trustee DeCroo, there is a bylaw, and I don't think this is the appropriate place to discuss it. I did answer the email stating that the 5 days business notice was not adhered to, and unfortunately, and we're looking forward to seeing the delegation at our next meeting on the 22nd of October.
And not to debate this, but wouldn't it become an issue of equality of access if we've never really been this hardline on this bylaw?
We have certainly done it before.
I've never witnessed that.
Well, We have-
Could we
and if you
communicate
would
that to
like
our
to-
community so
It's
that
on
they're
the-
aware?
It's on the form, and I believe that our executive assistant discusses it with the delegation, and it's also on the website with any delegation that calls. And perhaps what we should do is take a look at the delegation form and see if there's a change that we should make. So we have the rescind, we have a rescind. So I need to rescind the motion, if I could. Trustee Green. So I have a motion to rescind on the floor. All those in favor? Thank you, yes, 2/3. Thank you. I'm going to move the agenda, if that's okay, or? Move the agenda first, that's fine. Thanks very much. If there are no other changes to the agenda, Trustee Davies, will you, I'm sorry. What?
In terms of walking on items to the agenda, I'd like to move that especially because the delegation is here, because we have had up to our last delegation with the flu vaccine, that was late. It was granted to the person. I have been a trustee for 6 years, and I've never, ever heard the previous chair or the current, or up until now, a delegation being turned away. So I can't understand why the rules of engagement have changed.
Well, I'm surprised that it's 6 years already, but I'm surprised that you haven't had it because that is the policy, and it has been done before. So, Trustee Davies, will you move the agenda as amended? Thank you. Can I have all those in favor of the amended agenda? Thank you. And Trustee Andrews, I'm sorry, I needed a second. Trustee Andrews, you second the amended agenda? Thank you. Okay.
Do I get to speak, Madam Chair? Okay, Madam Chair, when there's injustice has been done, I cannot sit here comfortable and not say something. And both Trustee McDonald and Trustee DeCaroux brought this forward. I am, myself and Brad is the longest serving trustee at this board, 16 years of service. And over my 16 years of service, we have never, ever turned away a delegation. We have a bylaw, we have procedures in place, but we have never turned away one.
Trustee
Why?
Green?
No, don't cut me off, please, and thank you.
I will
Okay.
cut you off.
Why, when one particular group is being asked to delegate at the last minute, they've been rejected. It's unfair, it's not equitable,
Trustee
and as a
Green.
board, we push for equitable and inclusion, and it's not fair. I do
Yes,
not
we
agree
do.
with it, and I want my voice
Thank
to be
you.
heard.
Thank you for your comment. I would like to, should we sing the national anthem again? Is that what we're doing? Trustee Green, we have declined delegations in the past, and I have no idea.
Madam Chair,
Who the- thank you.
I think it was
Well, you're wrong.
It was cherry picked.
Trustee Green?
No,
You're out of, you're out of order.
Okay, no, I'm not out of order.
Yes, you are.
I'm speaking up for my community. Okay. This is the first time.
Thank you.
I'm gonna lose
Is-
it at this board table.
So, we have two special presentations this evening. We're going to begin with our Peel District School Board's 2019 United Way campaign. Superintendent Logue, I believe that you're going to introduce this year's committee.
Through you, Chair, thank you very much. It is my pleasure this evening to be here to introduce the principal of Heart Lake Secondary School, Alvin Au, and he in turn is going to introduce his amazing team who has started their work already on the United Way campaign. This work actually started last June, and they've been working tirelessly under the direction of Alvin and his team. Alvin is going to talk to us tonight about moving from poverty to possibility. So Alvin.
Good evening, Director Joshua, Vice Chair Lawton, Board of Trustees, supervisory officers, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to kick off the United Way campaign 2019-2020 this evening. It is a pleasure to be here with the United Way team. Please join me in welcoming Vice Chair Simone Wallace and recognizing Ashley Begda from Communications, Jen Paiva from Finance, and our special guest from the United Way Greater Toronto this evening, Raj Chandegra, Associate Manager of Corporate Donor Relations, and Daniele Zanotti, President and CEO of United Way Greater Toronto. And of course, Superintendent Logue, our Superintendent Liaison. Your commitment and dedication to this campaign is greatly appreciated. First of all, we would like to thank Chair Cameron and Vice Chair Lawton for your support of United Way Greater Toronto. Also, sincere gratitude to Director Joshua for highlighting the campaign during your starting point address of your commitment to partner with United Way Greater Toronto to continue to support our most marginalized communities, promoting an action plan for poverty reduction, and asking for the continued support by way of payroll contributions and school and field office activities to support the students and families we serve. Secondly, I would like to recognize and thank Eileen Padua, Principal of Credit Valley Public School, for all her hard work as chair last year's campaign. Furthermore, I would like to acknowledge Superintendent Robertson's years of contribution and leadership with the Planning Committee and ensuring we're off to a great start with this year's campaign. As chair, it is both an honor and a pleasure to be part of this committee again as we inspire possibility through the enthusiastic spirit of giving to our local community, which positively impacts the students and families we see in our schools every day. I believe that there is not a school in our board whose students and families have not been touched by the United Way in some capacity. The United Way is there for them during the hours of the day when we're not able to be there. As school administrators, both elementary and secondary, my colleagues and I support the various needs of students and their families that reach beyond the scope that we can provide as an educational system on a daily basis, whether it is coming to school hungry and in need of some food through our breakfast program, to a student who is struggling with mental health issues, or a student who is homeless and in need of temporary shelter. In short, we cannot do this alone as a school board. The saying that it takes a village to raise a child articulates the need for the partnership with United Way and the reason for our support. Without our community partnerships or our connections with 95 community programs that exist in the region of Peel, funded by United Way Greater Toronto, we could not provide our students and families with the appropriate and much-needed support they deserve. The Peel District School Board has a long history of support for the United Way, and we should be proud as a board of our commitment to ensure that changes and improvements continue to be made so that we can aim to make each year's campaign stronger than the last. Last year, please join me in celebrating the accomplishment of raising $190,664,000. We should be proud of our collective efforts as a board. This year, we have set an impact goal to move people from poverty to possibility. We feel that with our campaign messaging focused around the needs within our communities and sharing how United Way provides ways to build stronger communities, we are confident that we will engage donors and reach this goal. In addition to our campaign, materials will be shared electronically in October to the United Way representatives in each school. We have asked our administrative colleagues to champion the campaign at their individual sites with their staff. Please join us in inspiring possibility in our community to build better lives for our families in need. We can do this in 3 ways. First, through the United Way Giving Day on Thursday, November 14th, as we channel our energy for this cause board-wide. Secondly, the campaign runs from October 23rd to November 29th, during which time schools and work sites will have the flexibility and creativity to plan activities and raise funds. Thirdly, this is the time when the board's employee giving campaign will be focused on staff payroll deductions. We continue to encourage online payment pay deductions and leadership giving and wish to promote this possibility more than ever. Indeed, we are a generous board, and we're confident that an increase in payroll deductions will enable us to reach our goal. As such, schools and staff can all participate and contribute to the United Way. We look forward to coming back to celebrate our collective efforts in the spring of the campaign. At this time, I would like to invite Simone Wallace, Vice Principal of Homeland's Senior Public School and Vice Chair of the United Way Committee, to introduce our United Way Awards. Simone?
Thank you.
Good evening. It is truly an honor to be part of the United Way Committee. I'm here to celebrate the launch of this year's United Way campaign, as well as to share the various awards that recognize all the hard work put into this campaign throughout our schools and work sites board-wide. As in the past, we will continue with 3 employee campaign awards, which include the Recognition Award, Silver Award, and Gold Awards. Special recognition awards will also be given to the top 2 elementary schools and the top secondary school, as well as the top work site with the highest staff donation contributions. The Special Recognition Award for the top 2 elementary schools went to Fern Forest and Balmoral Drive Senior Public Schools. The top secondary school was Glen Forest Secondary, and the Central Board Office was the top worksite winner. Student Leadership Awards will continue to be given to the best student-led campaign, which incorporates fun and creative fundraising activities, such as movie nights, student staff basketball games, and other community events. Schools that raise $1,000 or more as a student body are recognized for their effort. Last year, there were over 15 schools who achieved this honor and received this award. Lastly, the Harold M. Brathwaite Award will once again be awarded to the school that has best exemplified the true spirit of the United Way's commitment to build stronger communities through the inclusion of all community stakeholders. This past year, the Harold M. Brathwaite Recognition Award was presented to Eagle Plains Public School. In this year's campaign, we will continue to engage our Peel District School Board communities through the hashtag #PDSBUnitedWay to best capture the creativity, originality, and fun as we leverage social media to inspire possibility. We are looking forward to this year's campaign. So, as they say, let the game, fun, and fundraising begin. At this time, please join me in welcoming Daniele Zanotti, President and CEO of United Way Greater Toronto, to say a few words. Daniele?
Thank you, Simone, Board of Trustees. It's a pleasure to be here. A special thank you to Standing Chair Sue, Peter, longtime champion of our work, and all of the team behind the scenes, Jamie Robertson, welcoming Michael to assist as well, and to this year's champions, Alvin Au and Simone. and all of the committee members. An honor to be here with you, not only for the deep partnerships we share across Peel, at the Peel Newcomer Strategy, the Peel Poverty Reduction, and our shared We Rise Black Youth Success Strategy, a community and a partnership we at United Way are proud to stand with. Also a partner on our community fundraising, where year after year, starting here with staff, students, labor, and families, you continue to show your local love. A few weeks ago, we kicked off the 2019 United Way Greater Toronto campaign with the first annual Show Your Local Love campaign day. Proclamations from cities and municipalities across the GTA, hundreds of volunteers across Peel, York, and Toronto. I had the opportunity to travel across this massive footprint, starting at a United Way funded shelter in Mississauga for women, hidden behind trees and a long driveway that was intentionally difficult to find, where over the last 5 years, the average occupancy is 110%, and 2,500 women were served last year alone. Sadly, 300 were turned away in a region where 8 women died at the hands of their abuser. Then I traveled to United Way funded Neighborhood House, blocks from here, home to the largest number of newcomers in the region, each struggling in poverty to find work. And finally, to United Way Youth Shelter, the only shelter for a population of over 1.5 million people. On the way home, I stopped to get a coffee at Tim's, sat in my car, and cried. Not because I don't like those new lids, although they are aggravating. I have been in this work for decades, with community and for community. But I have not seen a front line so rare, raw, and real as I did that Show Your Local Love Day. A mom and her 8-year-old having brekkie with the housing worker at that United Way women's shelter, the child likely prepping to come to one of your schools, telling her mom, I don't want to leave here yet. There are no bruises and yelling in this house. At the neighborhood center, Rami, a newcomer here 18 months, whispers, I feel like I'm dying of loneliness, no work, no friends. And at the youth shelter, the intake worker buzzes the door open and Blair walks in, trying to contain the voices in his head. And he tells the intake worker, I haven't eaten in 17 days. In this GTA we love, the child poverty capital of Canada, the income inequality and housing unaffordability capital of Canada. In this Peel we love, where over 12.8% of people live in poverty, 14,000 households are on the wait list for social housing, the largest in Ontario, and 60,000 people are food insecure. Outside this building, outside your schools, outside the desks where your students sit, there is this network of invisible United Way programs and agencies. In basements, storefronts, and faded logos in the window, stretching help and hope to kids and families every single day. Thanks to you. You power this network of United Way agencies. Not one program, but a group collaborating day in and day out, serving 200,000 people across Mississauga, Brampton, and Caledon. United Way, next to government, the largest funder of social services, with over $7 million invested in this region. And there are stories of hope, thanks to you. mom and daughter moved out of that Mississauga shelter into the only safe, affordable basement they could find in Scarborough. Rami started work Monday at an IT company in Markham, and he met two friends, an Ethiopian and a Jamaican. And Blair slept under a roof, had a shower, and a pillow under his head for the first time in 2 years, and a meal for the first time in 17 days. Thank you, Peel District School Board. Outside of your classrooms, there is immense need, and it is imperative that we stand with all communities in our fight against poverty. Thank you.
Thank you, Daniele, for your message from the United Way Greater Toronto. We look forward to a successful campaign this year and be united in our efforts to inspire possibilities in each other. Thank you.
Thank you all. I know our schools and workplaces, our students and staff will once again do all they can to support the campaign. Thank you. We go on to our second presentation, 1.2, the Peel Learning Foundation. And we welcome the Executive Officer of the Peel Learning Foundation, Brian Hobbs.
Thank you, Trustee Lawton. Trustees, thank you for the opportunity to be here. It's a privilege to be here tonight to bring you a brief update on the work of the Peel Learning Foundation that was launched not so long ago, and share with you the success that I hope you feel we've achieved with the vision that was your vision of this board when you brought us into being a year ago. The objective of the Peel Learning Foundation is to help students in our board overcome the barriers they face, largely from poverty, that prevent them from realizing their education and being successful. And a quick snapshot of how we came to be here today. So the Board of Trustees approved the creation of the Peel Learning Foundation in early 2017. Staff was hired at the end of that year. The Learning Foundation was incorporated in 2018. We got our charitable registration that same year, and then about 8 months ago, we launched the organization to the Peel community. And our goal this year are, we have 3 of them. We wanted to help 200 students through our Student Emergency Needs Program, 200 students with backpacks, and raise $185,000. I'm happy to say things are going very well in meeting all of our goals. Fundraising is going well, and what we've discovered, not to our surprise, there is a very strong need amongst our students for the programs we've launched. In the time since I wrote this presentation and submitted it to the board, we've had applications on behalf of 25 more students come, and we've delivered an additional 100 backpacks over what was written in this presentation when I wrote it and submitted it to the board. So the background on those programs that we've launched, 2 of them, we've launched a Student Emergency Needs Program that basically provides short-term critical relief for students. And this is an example of what comes across my desk almost on a daily basis. So this is a student who had broken his glasses. He needs glasses to be able to see at school. The family had no insurance left and they couldn't afford any glasses. The student had already been moved to the front and was getting headaches. We approved the funding to get the glasses for the student, and this is a tweet we got from his teacher. And she was so happy that we were able to help her student be able to see and to be able to succeed with his education. So as a broad overview, what we fund through the Student Emergency Needs Funds are things like food and clothing, transportation costs, school supplies. We also deal with a number of emergency situations. I've had requests from families who've had fires in their apartments and had nothing, and we've made significant allowances to help them with those situations. This is what the intake of students we've helped looks like since we launched in February. And what I can tell you, this being the 10th of October, if I had graphed that line, it continues to go straight up at an even sharper angle than it was doing in September. This is a list of schools where we've helped across the Peel school community so far. And I hazard that's probably out of date with new schools that have come to be in the past 10 days. The other program we've launched is the Student Backpack Program that has also been very successful. This shot is from the Welcome Center in Malton after 50 students came through the Welcome Center on a Saturday, were registered with our schools, and they all got backpacks. And so what we give the students, we have backpacks for specific grades, K to 3, 4 to 8, and 9 to 12. And the backpacks give them everything they need to succeed in a year of school. So they can come in with no school supplies. They get a backpack with binders and pencils and pencil cases, everything they need. And that's what it looked like. The backpacks are put together by students at our own schools, at Parkholme and Applewood. The students and the TAs helping the students have been absolutely amazing. 3 weeks ago, I found out we were putting those 50 students, registering them at the Welcome Center. So I had to scramble to get Applewood and Parkholme to get new backpacks ready for me. They got 150 backpacks ready in 3 days. They're simply amazing. The students love the work. And we also pay a fee to the school for the work they do, and that goes into the funds for their extracurricular activities. The backpacks get to the community through our 2 field centers and our 3 welcome centers. And then we've been working hard to build support within the community to reach our fundraising targets, and a lot of the schools have been very helpful. So this is Rick Hansen. They were first off the bat with activities throughout the week that were driven by students. Glendale reached out to me, and they supported the foundation with samosas and bracelets. We've also now supported, I believe, 7 students from the Glendale public school community. Thomas Street, I believe they sold baked goods. And again, what you don't see from this picture is the sheer joy and the energy and the enthusiasm of the students when you get to talk to them. They're so empowered and engaged by being able to do this work, because I think what they understand is this is helping students in their own schools, and it really increases their sense of engagement and empowerment. And we also helped with Intel to get new equipment for one of our schools. The name is not in my head right now. These are the schools that have actively decided to support the Peel Learning Foundation so far this year, and we were very, very grateful for their support. Within our own staff contingent, so far we have 179 staff making payroll donations to the foundation. That's now up to 185. We have staff who, when they retire, as opposed to getting a gift, they make a financial gift to the Peel Learning Foundation. At this past year's retirement dinner, 129 staff donated to the Peel Learning Foundation. I believe that worked out to, if my math is close to being correct, $6,450, which would support about 35 students in need from that one evening alone. In short, we started building an organization in late 2017. We launched, we got our charitable and our business incorporation in 2018. We launched in 2019. What I can tell you is we expect to meet or exceed our goal for supporting students in needs through the Student Emergency Fund. I can tell you we have already exceeded our goal of 200 backpacks for the Student Backpack Program. As of today, it's about 280. And I expect we will also meet or exceed our fundraising target for the year as well. And I would like to say thank you for the opportunity to do this work for you. I have been doing fundraising for about 25 years with very large organizations and very small organizations. And what I have found working with staff at this board, teachers and superintendents and directors and trustees, it almost feels like the last 25 years have prepared me for this. So I thank you for that. Questions?
Do we have any questions or comments? Trustee DeCruz?
Thank you very much for all the work that you are doing to support our students and our communities. I think, you know, it's extraordinary what we're doing to actually put together a learning foundation to help students succeed, and I really appreciate all the work that you're doing with the emergency fund in particular. So I just wanted to say thank you, and keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Trustee Green?
Thank you. Thank you, Brian. I appreciate you coming forward today and present this report. I remember when we had the discussion about starting this foundation and what it meant to do and the intention of it. And it's clearly evident today by your presentation as demonstrated that the foundation is doing the work that we intended it to do when we venture off in this launch. And I personally want to say congratulations on the work that you're doing. And I personally look forward to continue supporting the work of the foundation because when I see how it's impacting the life of some of our most needy and marginalized students, it is very crucial that we have organization that we can turn to in the time of needs. And it's very evident that from what I see in your presentation, these are students that was in needs, and the foundation was there to provide those needs and support. So thank you again, and I look forward to continue supporting the work. Thank you.
Trustee Aurora?
Thank you, Chair. Through you, I would just like to take a moment on behalf of Prableen and all of the students of Peel to thank you and your organization for all your work. As someone who's been an executive for We Charity, I know the importance that it serves for education being a priority, and we talk about many barriers of human needs being a barrier to education, such as lack of access to water or health medication resources in rural communities or communities that are in third world countries. But sometimes it is hard for us to notice who's suffering right in front of our eyes. And so I thank you for the impact that you've made, and not only the lives of students who are in need or who are struggling through poverty, but also by creating a whole community that is more aware that this should be something that is socially normal for students to be able to accept support from external organizations, and for even creating a positive environment for those students. So thank you very much for all of your work.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Brian. We're going to work with you to create hopeful tomorrows. I believe that's the tagline for the foundation. So we're going to move to item 2, believe it or not, a declaration of conflict of interest. Seeing none, item 3 are minutes. Here for approval, 3.2, the Instructional Programs Curriculum Committee, September 18th, 2019. Trustee K. McDonald, will you move these? Trustee Crocker, will you second? Thank you. Questions, comments? All those in favor? Thank you. 3.3, the regular meeting of the board, September 24th, 2019. Trustee Marchant, will you put these on the floor? And Trustee B. McDonald, will you second? Thank you. Questions or comments? Seeing none. All those in favor? Thank you. Section 3.5, the extraordinary meeting of the board, October 2nd, 2019. I think that should be in your packages. Trustee K. McDonald, will you put that on the floor? Thank you. Trustee B. McDonald, will you second it? Thank you. Any comments or questions on that? Seeing none. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Item 4, Chair's request for written questions from trustees. Trustee Mugden?
Yes, Thank you. Through you, Chair. I do have a question regarding the closed Lakeview School property and its disposal on behalf of a constituent. Part one being, could we advise as to why the building could not and is not suitable to be repurposed as a school? And two, any information that could be provided about the future plans for the board on the school would be appreciated. I've already submitted the question in writing. So thank you.
Thank you very much. So the response will come to the next meeting on the 22nd. Thank you. Item 5, notices of motion and petitions. Seeing none. Item 6, special section for receipt. 6.1, retirements. Trustee Green, will you put those on the floor?
Sure.
Thank you. Trustee Sohi, will you second? Thank you. Questions or comments on the retirements? Trustee Green?
No, I'm not speaking to retirements. I'm just speaking to 6.2 and 6.3.
Oh, okay. In that case, can we vote on 6.1? All
Sure.
those in favor?
Okay.
Thank you. 6.2,
Okay, so
Islamic Heritage Month. On behalf of the Peel District School Board and Board of Trustees, it gives me great pleasure to recognize Islamic Heritage Month at the Peel District School Board. As part of the board's commitment to equity and inclusion and to help better reflect student identity, trustees approved a motion on April 9th, 2019, to recognize and celebrate Islamic Heritage Month in the month of October. The Government of Canada first established October as Islamic Heritage Month in 2007, recognizing the important contributions of Canadian Muslims to Canadian society, the cultural diversity of the Canadian Muslim community, and the importance of Canadians better understanding one another to foster greater social cohesion. In 2017, the province of Ontario followed and proclaimed October as Islamic Heritage Month. This month, Peel schools have been recognizing and celebrating the rich heritage, history, culture, and contributions of Muslim Canadians, as well as Muslim communities from around the world. In Peel, we have a tradition of not only respecting diversity, but celebrating it, and we are proud to be a part of the community that lives and breathes these sentiments daily. Recognizing Islamic Heritage Month is an opportunity to create environments that foster inclusion, celebrate diversities, and nurture understanding. Director Joshua, Trustee Davies, and Chair Cameron look forward to visiting Malala Yousafzai Public School in the coming weeks to experience firsthand the activities and learning opportunities taking place in honor of Islamic Heritage Month. I also know that we look forward to welcoming the new school at our upcoming board meeting for a special presentation on the ways their school community recognized Islamic Heritage Month. Thank you. Trustee DeCrube, will you put this on the floor? Thank you. Thank you. Trustee B. McDonald, will you second? Okay. And do we have any questions or comments? Trustee Green?
no, I think you did a great job. So I'll move on. I'll just wait for 6.3.
Okay, thank you. Yep. Trustee DeCrube?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to thank the staff who have really taken this on and worked really hard to make this happen this year. I appreciate all the work that went into it. I've heard many positive things from the community and about how this has been received, and I really hope, I look forward to seeing more information about Hindu Heritage Month, Sikh Heritage Month, and Jewish Heritage Month as well when the time comes and we do celebrate them. Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you to the board, to my colleagues for your support on this, and thank you to the staff for really making this happen.
Thank you. Trustee K. McDonald?
Thank you. Through you, Chair, I just wanted to share an experience I had at Morton Way Public School at their open house. I was invited to go to the school council meeting, and a parent shared that her little son was so excited and proud that we were actually celebrating Islamic Heritage Month. And he said, he can start feeling proud to be a Muslim. So I was so just gave me goosebumps to hear him say that. So I just wanted to let you know just the impact that even just acknowledging and celebrating this month has on our students. Thank you.
Thank you. It does. Trustee Sohi.
Thank you, through you, Chair. I also wanted to share my experience. Yesterday at an open house at Carberry Public School, there was the parents walking in, and there was one kid who came in, and that was the first thing he was proudly showing her parents and saying that I'm so proud of my school now. So this is how we celebrate diversity, and this is a true example of equity and inclusion at our board. And I would like to acknowledge the great work by our communication department. Thank you for coming up with that wonderful and beautiful poster. Thank you for all the staff members and the board for their support on this. Thank you.
Thank you. All those in favor? Thank you. Trustee Green, this is the one you want to speak to, I think. 6.3, Bus Driver Appreciation Day, October 23rd, 2019. Will you put it on the floor, Trustee Green? Trustee Crocker, will you second? Thank you. Trustee Green.
Thank you, Madam Chair. No, it is very important for me as the Chair of Transportation to actually recognize the Bus Driver Appreciation Day, which is October 23rd. I think over the years at this board, we have ups and downs with bus company, and that's basically and no fault of the drivers. But I really want to recognize the drivers for moving our kids from point A to point B every day, 5 days a week, 365 days for the year, and taking them safety, because these I consider to be the most precious cargo that travel on those buses. And yes, somebody might say they're getting paid, but I believe that for what they get paid for, they have to care about the kids and the work that they do. So I want to recognize and say thank you to all bus drivers that are driving our kids on a daily basis. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Trustee Green. Trustee K. McDonald?
And I would just like to echo Trustee Green's sentiments, but I would also like to just personally say that every day that the bus, I see my kid come off that bus and come home to me, I am very happy, because you have a big responsibility. So to all the bus drivers out there, thank you for transporting our kids, and past bus drivers, thank you for transporting our kids safely each and every day. Thank you.
I believe we have some bus drivers in the audience. Would you stand up for us, please? Come on. Thank you very much. And thank you for coming to the meeting. So we put it on the floor. All those in favor of the report? Thank you. Item 8, old business, we have none. 8.1, response to delegation regarding facility rental fee increases. Trustee Sohi, will you put this on the floor? Trustee Benjamin, will you second? Okay, the report is in your package, trustees. Is there anyone who would like to make a comment? Seeing none, all those in favor of the, oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, Trustee Sohi. There you go.
Thank you. Thank you, Controller Thomas Ang, for the report, and I appreciate this. But at the same time, our heart is broken that how, with the new funding, we are unable to support so many extra activities that were happening in our schools that were engaging the youth. So sad that we are unable to do anything for all this, but I'm looking forward to the new negotiations and what has happened in the past weekend, and I'm still hopeful if we can have something on the table and if we can do something about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Sohi. All those in favor of the report? Thank you. Item 9, new business. 9.2, recommendations of the Instructional Programs Curriculum Committee, September 18th, 2019, are here for approval. Trustee K. McDonald, will you put them on the floor? Trustee Andrews, will you second? Thank you. Questions or comments? All those in favor? Thank you. 9.5 is Peel District School Board Policy 72, Trustee Honoraria, revised for this school year, December 1st, 2019 to November 30th, 2020. Ontario Regulation 357-06 sets the criteria and method for calculating this and is based annually on enrollment. It's here for approval. Trustee B. McDonald, will you, thank you. And Trustee Davies, will you second? Thank you. Do we have any questions? Yeah. Do we have any questions or comments? Thank you very much. The inside joke is it's not very much. So all those in favor? Thank you. We're carried. 9.6, administration responses to further questions regarding Peel District School Board with recycling practices. This is here for receipt. Trustee Marchant, will you put it on the floor? And Trustee Benjamin, will you second? And Trustee DeCroo, first question.
I just want to thank administration for looking deeply into this and providing us a more fulsome report. I really appreciate you taking my concerns and my questions and my intention of having all schools recycling very seriously, and I really appreciate the work that was done to make it happen. Thank you.
Do we have any other questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Thank you. 9.7 is the rescinded motion. So we go to 9.8 is our Special Education Advisory Committee vacancy. Again, it should be in your packages for approval. Trustee K. McDonald, will you put it on the floor? Trustee Marchant, will you second? Thank you. Questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Thank you. 9.9, deferred motion regarding, oh, sorry, that's the one that I don't need. Thank you very much. 9.9 is the authorization of trustees' absence. The recommendation is that Trustee Stan Cameron be authorized to be absent from 3 consecutive regular meetings of the board. For background, Section 228-1 of the Education Act requires that a trustee be authorized by resolution to be absent from 3 consecutive meetings of the board. Trustee Stan Cameron was unable to attend the September 24th, 2019 and October 10th, 2019 regular meeting of the board, and if necessary, will be absent from the October 22nd, 2019 meeting. Trustee B. McDonald, will you put that on the floor? Trustee Andrews, will you second? All those in favor? Thank you. Item 10, reports from officials and staff. Nope, seeing none. Item 11, director's report. Nothing from the director tonight. Item 12, if I can take these together, reports from Ontario School Boards Association, 12.1, OPSPA Connects, October 1st, 2019, and 12.2 is OPSPA Connects, October 7th, 2019. Trustee K. McDonald, will you put those on the floor? And Trustee Green, will you second? Sure. Thank you. Comments or questions? All those in favor? Thank you. Item 13, communications for action or receipts. Seeing none. Item 14, response of administration to former questions. 14.1 is response to a written question submitted by Trustee DeCroo at the September 24th, 2019 board meeting regarding facility rentals. Trustee DeCroo, this is here for receipt. Will you put it on the floor? Sure. Thank you. And Thank you. Trustee Crocker, will you second? Thank you. And Trustee DeCruz?
I just wanted to say thank you for the information. I know that this took a lot of work and a lot of time to come up to pull in all of the information, get the exact numbers. So I do appreciate that, and it's helpful for us to know in order to be able to communicate it appropriately to our communities. Thank you.
Seeing no other questions or comments, all those in favor? Thank you. 14.2 is a response to a written question submitted by Trustee DeCruz at the September 9th, 2019 board meeting regarding current composting practices. Trustee DeCruz, would you like to put it on the floor? Yeah. Seconded by Trustee Sohi. Thank you. And Trustee DeCruz, you wanted to speak to it?
Absolutely. My apologies. Some days they're all my questions. Again, thank you very much for all the work that went into this. I really appreciate it. I appreciate seeing the fact that there are a number of boards that are currently composting, so it sounds like it's not an impossible task, but I do recognize that the region hasn't expanded their program to include schools yet. So maybe one day they will. Maybe those are conversations we could have. But it is absolutely something that seems to be promising, but maybe in the future. So thanks again for all the work.
Trustee Crocker.
Thank you, Chair, and through you, I'd like to thank my trustee colleague Noka DeCruz for the question. It's I don't know. I guess compost isn't the hottest topic. It does heat up quite impressively if you do it right. Compost does. Speaking personally, it's somewhat unsatisfying to learn that the region's green bin recycling program has reached processing capacity. I don't know what would happen if that was garbage. Anyway, they've got to do better, and I think we can help them. The cool thing about compost is it goes away. It goes away very quickly if you know what you're doing. And I think the region needs help with this, and I think schools are uniquely placed to do that. I'm heartened by the second paragraph where it talks about the future possibility of that, and Trustee DeCruz did allude to that. Pilot programs excite me in this regard. I hope we can do that. I can see all kinds of possibilities in the schools around Ward 6 and 11 in Mississauga, but it's not my place to suggest them. However, I do encourage further partnership in this regard, and I do hope that there will be room for trustee participation and involvement in composting going forward. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Trustee Crocker. Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor of the report, thank you. 14.3, response to a written question submitted by Trustee not DeCruz, Trustee Sohi, at the September 24th, 2019 board meeting regarding overdose prevention. Trustee Sohi, would you like to put it on the floor? Thank you. Trustee Benjamin, will you second? And Trustee Sohi, you wanted to speak to it?
Yeah, thank you. Through you, Chair, I would like to say thank you to Associate Director Mark Herman for providing the response to this. And to my understanding, when I called the Peel Public Health, that these kits are free to stock in different community or the public areas. And I can understand now the cost associated to it to bring them into our high schools. But I still, I would say, still encourage our senior management to look into the partnership with the Peel Public Health in some way, if we can reduce that cost and bring those to, deflect any kind of situation that may arise with what we see out in the communities these days. Thank you again for your response, and yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no one else who chooses to speak to that, all in favor? And it is carried. Thank you. Item 15, reports from trustee representatives on councils or associations. Trustee Andrews?
Yes, through you, Madam Chair. Trustee Green and myself attended the OPSPA Board of Directors meeting on the weekend of September 27th. A couple of the highlights: the Minister of Education came and he spoke to us for about 30 minutes. Some of the things that he talked about were around curriculum, having a better alignment with skills and competencies in the marketplace, the fact that there's a high youth unemployment rate, and the necessity to link the gap to the marketplace. Touched on the math curriculum to improve math scores. There's a 4-year program underway beginning in September 2020, a new math curriculum, getting back to the basics. He also commented that there would be money set aside for PD of educators, that would be built into the plan. You know, and also talked about giving young people the understanding of how to spend money prudently, completing a budget, practical life skills. Touched on the APE curriculum, it being an inclusive document and representing every child in the province. Talked about mental health, physical safety, building schools, the fact that there is a maintenance backlog. He also talked about e-learning. You know, the government has yet to announce the details, but it should roll out in September 2020. Our voices will be heard through this process on the issue. He said it can't be one size fits all. Some won't be able to, you know, to use e-learning, that the system has to have some flexibility, some latitude, that children learn differently, and, you know, to make sure that the system is equitable. He also talked about Board of Governance review, talked about underrepresented students, you know, how suspensions are higher. We need processes in place for equitable treatment, how we provide pathways for them to graduate and make sure the system is not failing these students. He did express gratitude to trustees and for the job that we do. And then finally, he talked about service animals and the boards having to put in place by January 2020 their policy. And then he also talked about another thing that was talked about, well, he talked about all of that in 30 minutes. And then finally, another thing that was brought up is the OPSPA's second Advocacy Day is on Monday, November 26th, and all members of the Board of Directors are invited to attend. They have sent out save the date invites to MPPs, and the MPPs that will attend will be matched with their trustees, and there will be a Q&A and a reception, and the Premier was also invited to attend as well. And that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee K. McDonald?
Thank you. Through you, Chair, I'm just like to report from the Peace Arts Committee. This deals with active transportation to schools. And just to announce that on October the 29th, we have Eco Schools PD Day, and they're going to focus on active transportation. Then on November the 7th, we have a water focus, so they look at the watersheds. And then November 26th, we're going to be focusing on biodiversity, and that's going to be taking place at the Albion Field Center. And this is available to 40 schools, so 20 from the public board, 20 from the Catholic board. They also will be trying to find out how they can put information on our little chiclet for community announcements. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Any other councils or associations reports? Seeing none. All those in favor? Thank you. Item 16, comments or questions from board members. Trustee Nair.
Thank you. Through you, Chair, as many of you may be aware, today is World Mental Health Day. I would like to comment on the importance of looking after ourselves and those around us, as we never know what someone is going through. Our mental well-being should always be our top priority, and we should take care of ourselves and put ourselves first before anything else. I would just like to ask if there are activities or clubs in all schools of Peel that take place regularly to help students reduce stress levels or aid them with their overall well-being. I know sometimes it's difficult for students to reach out to others and ask for help, so I'm just wondering if mental well-being activities or clubs occur on a regular basis in schools to help and educate students about mental health and healthy mechanisms to help them cope with their feelings. Thank you.
Thank you. I think Associate Director Harmon is trying to make a comment. There we go.
Okay, so through you, Chair Lawton. So yes, we do have actually coordinator dedicated to student and staff mental well-being. That is a position that is now in its 8th year. So for 7 years, we have had a mental health strategy geared at elementary, secondary schools. In addition, it is now our 2nd year of having mental health resource clinicians, 5 of them, assigned to all of our secondary schools. Each mental health resource clinician has approximately 7 to 8 schools that they service. They provide Tier 2 support, so that is the kind of preventative work that would stop students from getting to Tier 3 mental health crises. They would deliver workshops in areas such as anxiety, substance abuse, etc., all manner of mental health and well-being supports going forward. In addition to that, that group would do additional work, such as the Mindfulness Network, some everyday mental health resource implementation. They've run after-school sessions for teachers. In addition to that, they also run, or will be running very shortly through our social workers and psychologists, a series of workshops on suicide intervention, prevention, post-vention. This is something that they have trained our psychologists and social workers on, who will now be meeting with administrators and teachers at every school in Peel between now and Christmas to deliver this training module. The work does continue. We are part of the Yes for Mental Health group through Peel Health. We would have, I believe, last year 26 schools that sent a team to that conference and would have brought back mental health strategies to their schools. In addition to that, our Climate for Learning and Working teams have been in place for a number of years. Those are mandatory through a PPM at each and every school. Much of the mindfulness and wellness work that happens in our elementary schools comes through those mandatory teams as well. So the answer to your question is yes.
Trustee Sohi, did you want to speak to this? Is that why you have your... Oh, okay, thanks. You're confusing me. Trustee Crocker. Oh, I'm sorry, Trustee Aurora.
Thank you, and through you, Chair. I know that Thanksgiving is around the corner, so I would like to take a moment to express my gratitude. Just amongst the board members, thank you so much to all the trustees who have really supported me and guided me and answered all of my questions and really made my transition very smooth. I can't believe it's already been my 5th board meeting, so thank you very much for that. I would also like to take a moment to thank the principals and vice principals who've made a great impact in the lives of our students. I would like to shout out to Mr. Pareja, who's sitting in the audience. Just on a personal note, I would like to thank you for really sparking that passion within me about politics. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't without your support, so thank you very much for that. Just watching you in the audience is bringing tears to my eyes because that's how much you've mentored me, so thank you very much for that. And as well, I know that the past week, the past week has been very busy for the board as well. I know with the CUPE strike and everything, so thank you to Carla and her communications team for all of the work you've been doing. I know that it might be unnoticed sometimes, but I definitely did not unnotice all the work you've been doing. I know that many of the students had crazy comments within our Twitter and Instagram posts, so thank you for dealing with all of that. And on behalf of all the students as well, thank you to everyone who is really trying to help us and foster our talents as a society. So thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Aurora. Trustee Crocker?
Thank you, Chair. I would just like to acknowledge the gift which I received. You know, sometimes we have gifts here. There's a pen or there's a T-shirt or something. I don't think anybody else got this. It's a box of Ecologic disposable wooden cutlery, which is regular attenders this meeting will know is a bit of an inside joke. There's a lot of them. I don't know that I'll live long enough to ever to use all these knife, forks, and spoons. They're beautiful and they're all natural. So I hope the donor will identify him or herself to me in the near future, so I can thank them personally. And if anybody really feels that they need some wooden compostable knives, forks, or spoons, I have a superfluity here. Thank you, Chair.
It quite fits with the theme of the meeting, I think. You're welcome. Trustee K. McDonald.
Thank you. Through you, Chair, I just wanted to publicly acknowledge the following 9 students from the Peelschools School Board that were awarded United Achievers Club's scholarships. They are Trevon Baker from Mayfield Secondary School, Rashida Buckle and Sandra Tacky from Bramalea Secondary School, Courtney Coleman from Fletcher's Meadows Secondary School, Kendall Kandasamy from Central Peel Secondary School, Taylor Francis from Mayfield Secondary School, Ty J. Hamilton from Rick Hansen, Kayla McClellan from David Suzuki Secondary School, and Gabrielle Suki from Louise Arbor Secondary School. So I'd just like to congratulate them on a job well done. Yeah.
I don't suppose any of them are in the audience? No? Well, congratulations, certainly. Trustee Martins. Trustee Andrews? Trustee DeCruz?
I do have a comment, Madam Chair, but if, as a point of privilege, I'd like to speak last, if that's possible. If you could come back to me at the end.
Trustee Sohi.
Thank you, through you, Chair. Actually, this is a question that I received from a public. This is about, actually, my heart goes out to the mom who saw her kid losing his life in front of her eyes. It is sad. I think we all, we never want to have that kind of a situation in our lives. So the question is, what kind of measures Peel District School Board take to stop bullying in the schools? Do you have a policy, and where our board stands on this? Thank you.
Associate Director Harmon, or for the next?
Sure, through you, Chair Lawton. So we're actually very well positioned. If you recall, Policy 48 was recently passed by the board. What we've actually done is we have actually taken bullying out and put an operating procedure in place. I believe we were one of the few local boards that actually has a bullying prevention OP in place. That is something that will be brought forward to administrators for training starting October 16th. We have 5 sessions. Every administrator in Peel is going to be trained on all of Policy 48. In that will be our bullying prevention OP. And again, it's on our board website for anyone to review. It has language in it from PPMs that is fully compliant with ministry requirements. In addition to that, the school success planning modules that are being rolled out by Superintendent Graham and the curriculum department will have a component that is bullying prevention. For those of you that don't know, it is mandatory for all schools to have a bullying prevention plan in place, or at least for a board to have it. We go a step further, and we do make sure that each school has a bullying prevention plan. Those will be worked on by school teams throughout the months of October and November. Again, with the expectation that over the course of this school year, they're all revamped going forward. I could go on. Our Climate for Learning and Working teams do a lot of work in the area of bullying prevention. You would know that our Choose Action campaign is coming up later in the into the month of October and November. We've run that program for a number of years. There's a whole plethora of supports that will be going out to schools around activities, lessons, teaching aids can use, etc., to do bullying prevention work in and around that. So I would suggest that our board is very richly resourced, supported by policy and OP, and would invite all of our trustees to check that information on the board website. And certainly if anyone does want to come to one of the training sessions offered in October, I would be more than pleased to facilitate you coming out to that. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Merchant?
Yes, thank you. Just in follow-up to that, thank you for that response, through you, Chair. I'm sure our board has already reached out to the school board to pass along our condolences through Peter. But in fairness, I'm sure Hamilton too had anti-bullying policies and stuff in place as well. So after they've had time to do their internal investigations, if we could leverage them to find what findings they have, perhaps the director can bring them back here and we can learn from their lessons in a much easier fashion. Thank you.
Director Joshua?
Thank you. Through you, Chair. Just as Trustee Marchand mentioned, I happen to be very close to the folks in Hamilton, as I was originally from that board, but we are in contact with them regularly, and we are keeping track of their learnings and findings. And of course, like any operating procedure policy, we certainly have processes in place, but we can always learn from what happens around the province and how we can continue to do better to meet the needs of our students.
Thank you. Trustee Davies, question or comment? Trustee Benjamin.
Through you, Chair, I just want to share that on the 28th of September, I was in Malton, and many of the community organizations like the Malton Neighborhood Services, Malton Women's Council, the Malton Black Development Association, the Malton Community Center, and the community members and the schools, the Peelschools there, all got together for a tree planting event. It took place from 10 to about 2 o'clock, and it was a community event. Everybody got together, and they planted about 75 trees. And this was in collaboration with the Toronto Conservation Authority. So they sent their people as well as the trees, and they advised as to how it should be planted, where it should be planted, and this was a very good event which involved the whole community. And as we are talking about climate and environment, I think our community groups should get together and do more of these activities, and they can always contact the conservation authorities for advice, and they are there to provide the services. The second news that I want to share is this morning I was at a school in Malton, and our very popular Superintendent Petrika Dawes and Harjeet Aujla, Superintendent Aujla also was there, and this was to bid farewell to a principal. The whole school got together and they put together an assembly to bid farewell to Nick Papineau, who's going to come to the board office. And I just want to say that it was a very touching moment, and we were there to bid him farewell from the school, but also welcome him to the board, as he's going to be a manager of HR, and we wish him all the very best. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee B. McDonald?
Yes. I just want to echo Trustee Nair's comments on the World Mental Health Day. As someone dealing with a family member, mental health, I think talking about it in my journey has, I found so many other people dealing with similar kind of scenarios, and that is the first part of awareness. And hopefully someday that awareness will lead to better treatment, better resources, and better solutions for our communities, and especially our kids. I think that's one of the first things I asked my tours last year of high schools was, what do you do for wellness? Because our teens really are dealing with a lot of stuff, and mental health is one of the biggest ones. And even in elementary schools, I think I talk to my principals, they say the number one thing is anxiety, and what they can do to support our students is very important. And also in following up of the tragic events in Hamilton, hit pretty close. A colleague at work just lives feet away from the school and quite familiar with the whole situation. And it was really sad to hear events, and I send my condolences out, as everyone else does, to the family. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee McDonald. Trustee Green?
Thank you.
I don't have a question, but I have a comment to make. When I was elected as a trustee 16 years ago, I was elected to represent my community, represent all kids, family in Peel. And everyone know me that over the years that I represent every family, I represent every single child across this region that we support. So when I sit here and I fight for our children, when I fight for one children and I fight for one community, I'm fighting for all community. So no disrespect to anyone. I have a freedom of rights under the the Human Rights Act to speak and not to be afraid of anyone to speak. More so, as a man of God, didn't give me a spirit of fear, but a spirit of boldness to speak on the things that are right for our community. Now, Trustee Andrews and myself listened to the Minister of Education speak. And one of the things that he said in his speech, he said, I understand what our marginalized kids go through. I understand, especially those that are Black and Indigenous students go through. And he talks about the unfairness. He said, I know that these things are happening, and we need to provide support for them, and we need to stand up for them, and we need to speak up for them. To ensure, he said, I will guarantee that I will be fighting at the table to ensure that these students that are getting left behind, that they will no longer leave behind. When I spoke with him one-on-one, that's what he said to me. So tonight, I sit here, and no disrespect to anyone, I want to know, when there's injustice being done, I have a right to speak about it. Not just for one kid, but for every child. Because when I fight for one child, I'm fighting for every children, as I said, in this board. And tonight I sit here and I see injustice done. I've got an email. I got an email, actually 2 emails today. One of them talk about being a new parent in the Peel region. My child was being bullied, and when my child was being bullied, staff tell my child that you complain too much, and my child was penalized. He said, I took my child out of the Peel board and put him in private school for his own safety. I did not have the guts because I did not know the system to speak up for my child. But after watching what happened in Hamilton, he said, Mr. Green, I am speaking up, and I'm asking you, my child is no longer in the Peel board, but I'm asking you to speak up for every child in the Peel board. So that's what I'm doing when I'm here fighting for my community, when there's injustice being done to our children. So I'm gonna ask, doesn't matter who's chairing this board, when I speak, I am not being disrespectful, but please don't try to gag me, okay? This is a free country and a free will, and I have a right to speak my mind when injustice being done. So thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Green. And did you push the button? Trustee Crew.
Thank you, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak last. I struggled a lot whether I wanted to say something tonight or not. So I wrote this down over and over again, and I'm not usually the kind of person that talks about feelings and that kind of thing. So this is very difficult for me. The recycling motion and the deferral and all of the events that unfolded at the last board meeting gave me a lot to think about. To me, it seemed quite simple. It seemed like common sense. 250-something schools already recycled, 10 schools haven't yet. Various expressed interest, a written question and a written response right before us for a week at least. And I'd like to pause here again to take a moment to really express my sincerest thanks to the administration who actually listened to what I was trying to say and have confirmed that 100% of schools will be participating in the recycling program. I know that recycling isn't the most controversial of topics in 2019, and I do appreciate that. But I couldn't understand what the big deal was. And to me, this was just another example of how I always feel like I have to fight very hard for ideas that are very simple. I found myself wondering why I always have to, or at least I feel that I always have to work 10 times as hard to get my point across. And I won't go into any examples, but the record is full of instances where I've tried to express a certain point of view only to be shut down, and then a few meetings later, the board aligns themselves with what I had to say in the first place. I wondered, what is it about me that makes me so invisible? Am I not articulate enough? Is it because I'm young? Is it because I'm a woman? Is it because I'm a young ethnic woman? And I spent a lot of time thinking about this. I honestly did. And up until everybody started talking about mental health, I wasn't actually planning to say this out loud because it's not very easy. I'm choosing to speak up, though, because I know, and you know, that I'm not the only female minority who feels this way. In fact, this is a common experience among women of color in leadership positions. And I wanted to speak from a place of strength so that this message isn't easily diluted, as often happens. And please don't take this the wrong way. This is by no means an attack on any one person in particular. I've felt this way for many years now, and it's not simply because of one board meeting. But this is a request. A request that we all engage in some self-reflection. A request that we do not play politics with issues that impact our communities. A request that we encourage debate and public discourse in a civil and democratic society, and not make attempts to stifle it or stop it. And to listen to one another, listen to what we have to say. And then make your mind up. Have the conversation first, and then decide. And if you're still not ready to make a decision, then put a motion to defer, or whatever it is that you want to do. And lastly, a request that we all work together to best resolve some of the complex issues and challenges that are present in public education today. And like I said, I really struggled over this. I don't like talking about my feelings. Anybody who knows me will tell you that. I just smile and move on. I actually lost sleep over this, and it takes a lot for me to lose sleep. But I really felt that it was necessary for me to speak my truth today. Because I would be a total hypocrite if I keep going on with a big smile on my face, pretending that this is easy. This is not easy. It's not easy for me, and it's not easy for a lot of other women. And I can only hope, that my comments today would be met with respect and understanding, and that we figure out ways to really look behind the initial response that you get from whenever you hear somebody speaking, and really listen to what they have to say and encourage that conversation, because we're here to have conversations. We're here to encourage public discourse and to be a part of that. That's our job. And then we have to make decisions based on those conversations, based on that public discourse. And thank you all for listening tonight. I hope this didn't offend anyone. I hope this didn't offend anyone. It really wasn't meant to. It's just sometimes you have to say what you have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee DeCruz. And we'll move on to item 17, public question period. Do we have any questions from the public? Okay. This gentleman here I saw first.
Thank you very much.
No, sorry. I was pointing to this gentleman here, but it's up to you, too, whichever.
Hello, everyone. Do I have to say my name?
So we'd like you to say your name, please, and
Okay,
your
thank you.
contact information,
Thank
if you
you.
can.
Good evening, people, family, everybody. Thank you. So, Chair, I have a question here. This isn't my first time, but it's going to be my first time speaking.
Well, welcome.
Thank you. This, it's important.
I'm sorry, I can't read it.
Well, I'll read it for you. I make Black history.
Thank you.
I can give everybody a copy if you want me to, but it's very important. Mr. Green was bold, courageous. I think we have some courageous people here, and there's no point silencing anybody. What we just witnessed earlier was somewhat disheartening, though, that you have to silence some people. Here's my question. What are you doing to address comments raised by Trustee McDonald and residents as to not having a voice or space to speak out about anti-Black racism?
If you have a question about a particular trustee, sir,
well,
we would like you to.
Okay,
we have
but
a process
okay, let's
for
take
that.
your name out. What are you doing about those comments? If the board supports our Black students and you're truly concerned about anti-Black racism, what are you doing about it? Do you think the board itself is immune from society when we know that racism is a societal issue? We can't sit here and deny it. It's important, and that's why I'm saying to everybody, for those who have this, we have to show this. It's important to be recognized in this society. Our children, my kids, constitute members of this society, and our issues are important. It's important to start taking us seriously.
Yes, sir.
Kids have to be happy when they go to school. They don't have to be bullied. They don't have to be marginalized. And as members here, it's your job, it's your duty to protect each and every member of this community.
Yes,
If you could please address the question.
I agree. Thank you. Again,
Would you be kind enough to address?
yes, what are we doing about
What is
looking after
your
students?
board, what are you doing about comments raised to the boards about anti-Black racism?
Sorry, again, what are we doing about the comments, or what are we doing about anti-Black racism?
I think it's the same.
Well,
The issue.
possibly, certainly it's an issue. Well, again, if there is a specific complaint that you have, I'd like to give you the information for the Integrity Commissioner. But as far as the board itself is concerned, we're committed to equity and inclusion. We acknowledge that we must address the systemic racism that exists here. We are working on it. We know it's a slower process than you would like, and less progress than any of you would like, than any of us would like.
Action plan.
You have a right to expect these things. We work in public education because we believe it's the best choice for all our children to succeed and to thrive. We will continue to work to make the Peel District School Board an inclusive place to learn and to work. And we thank you for your commitment to letting us know how we must do it better.
Here's something I just observed. If you're going to answer the question truthfully and honestly, it should not be read out. It should come out instinctively. There's a difference between reading something that was scripted versus giving a truthful, honest answer. From listening to the people here, they made some comments. All we have to do is just read between the lines. I'm pretty sure you're going to get a lot of questions similar to this. Be prepared. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I am with the Air Cadets over there. My question is, why did the board find it necessary to go to the nonprofit organizations to get monies that cut back from wherever they got it from? Why did they go to the nonprofit organizations specifically? We got a 99, sorry. My oxygen is getting low, sorry. We got a 99.9% increase in our fees for the school board. Why is it that the kids are meant to pay for something that they did not do? We are here to educate our young people and bring better people to society. Why do they need to go fundraise more money to put in the pockets of the board? Why is it nonprofit organization, are you going to answer, are being targeted to put monies in your pocket because you got an increase, a cutback from wherever you got it from?
So I was just going to say, you're talking about a community use of schools?
We got a 99% increase in our school fees for users of your gym and for users of custodial services. Custodials are already there doing their jobs. We don't need to pay the custodians. Why are we being targeted to pay the custodians? And whatever else you guys put in the email that I got.
Thank you for your question. Can I ask you? Director Joshua? We just had a meeting about this before this meeting, as a matter of fact, and I know every trustee has been working with their community, with their MPPs. We had some great suggestions about working with the municipal councillors this afternoon. It certainly is a problem. Thank you, Director Joshua.
So through you, Chair, I'll just, there are some specifics certainly, and we acknowledge that there has been an impact on a number of organizations, and believe me, we feel the same level of pressure that our community organizations do. The reality is we are not making a profit in any way, shape, or form.
Can I stop you, please, for a second? You are making a profit on us. Our increase is 99%. So you are making a big profit on us, the nonprofit organizations.
So in fact, we'd be happy to share that specific information with individual organizations. I'll say once again, we do not make a profit on any of the funds that we ask for in terms of rental fees. It's basically cost recovery. In the past, we did receive additional funding from our Ministry of Education, from our government, to help to offset those costs. We have not received that additional funding in this past year, and therefore we are basically cost recovery. So in terms of the lack of funding, we've as you've seen and as we've publicized, there are a number of programs that we've had to cut specifically for student programming. And so at this point, because of that lack of funding, we've had to go back to just basically recover the costs through our rental fees. It is laid out very clearly on our website, but we'd be happy to speak to an individual organization like yours to show you exactly how much it costs us and how much we're actually not profiting in any way, shape, or form.
Number one, it's not specifically laid out. Number two, I was told that an email was sent out in May. I've checked my junk box. I've checked everywhere. There was nothing. We were blindsided. We were blindsided. We are helping to shape young people in our community to be in your position someday. Not to be on the streets, not to be let down by you guys. And I feel like they are being let down because they were targeted. They have to go fundraise more money to pay $5,000 and change rather than $2,000. So that's a 99% increase. So they're targeting the youth, not why should the youth have to fund your cutbacks? That's my question.
Sorry, there's no money going into our pockets from
Well,
community
then
use
it is
fees.
going somewhere. It is
Well,
going somewhere, but
they
why
are
is it
not-
targeting the youth?
If you would be good enough to give your information to our executive assistant so that we can address your issues directly?
I have done that. I have gone above and beyond, and I'm hitting brick walls. So that's why we came here tonight, to see who is going to help us.
Okay.
Can I have a question? Would you rather lose all the people that are using your schools because they can't afford to pay, or to keep the ones that you have?
We are not cheating, and we do not want to lose any of our youth groups, any of our seniors groups, any of our nonprofit groups, any of our adult groups. We don't want to lose any of our groups. We would like to make the community use of schools continue.
Well, I thank you.
There are many community groups, well, all the community groups had their fees raised.
Yes, I know that.
All of them.
Yes, but the explanation you guys give is not appropriate.
It doesn't make it right
It's
because
not
it was all of
appropriate.
them. I didn't know. I would suggest, though, I can't answer without specific information, and I actually can't answer, but I would like to help you get an answer for the group.
Yes. To my cadets.
Anybody.
I love my cadets, okay? I love my cadets. I've been doing this for 15 years. And this was blindsided. Blindsided. Thank you.
Hello, this
Hello,
is my
sir.
first time here, so I'm honored to be here. I'm just going to preface my question by just giving you a little background, not too long, but just to explain why my questions matter. You see, in 1996, I had a physics teacher his name was Mr. Mizuko. I'll call him Lord Voldemort. He told me that I would not graduate high school. He was right. I did not graduate high school. I graduated high school as an Ontario scholar. And I also graduated from the Universities of Western Ontario with degrees in mathematics and psychology in 2001 and 2002. And I'm a happy U of T dropout because I got into business school. I did my master's of business administration at Texas Christian University and graduated in 2008, and I went there on scholarship, not athletic. Now, why did I tell you all this? It's because words matter. And in this case, all words matter. The words of my white teacher stung me. He tried to humiliate me in front of my class. However, he came for the wrong one. And in the words of Omar Little from The Wire, when you aim for the king, you best not miss. And that brings me to my point with regards to the comments made for a certain board member who alleged that he would call McCrimmon Middle School, a school of predominantly marginalized students, McCriminal. As these allegations are true, these statements are examples of not only
Sir?
racism at its finest, but it's also an example of anti-Black racism, because most of those students probably look like me. And as someone who had the privilege of attending several drug-infested dens of iniquities, also called Western and University of Toronto, I find it ironic that we never call the students who attend those schools criminals. I wonder why. With that said, I would like to know how this board, who could claim to support and uplift Black and marginalized students, why are you criminalizing their very existence? After all, what makes marginalized youth criminals? Are they not worthy of being seen as potential leaders of tomorrow, or is their color of their skin enough to be a crime? We demand a public written apology to students and the board, along with We request that the board also participate in anti-Black racism training. We also ask for a freedom of information request for when was the last time that the board refused a delegation because they did meet in the past 5 days. And also, when did they request the delegation? And the next thing, please forgive me here. On top of that, we would like a review of the implementation of the Together We Rise project, as we do not trust the board regarding this implementation. On top of that, we would like to file a complaint with the Integrity Commission against your conduct and also with regards to your anti-Black racism. Thank you.
I apologize, sir, because I couldn't hear quite a bit of what you were saying. I said I apologize because I couldn't hear a lot of what you said, sir.
Wow.
Did you want,
I'll
as I
repeat
said
it
before?
again.
Sorry?
But I'm pretty loud in general, so I find it's kind of ironic that you couldn't hear me.
Make sure they understand.
So, anybody?
Okay, so I'll do it hooked on Ebonic style then. I don't like to use my natural voice because it commands a lot of respect, but I'll use it in this case. First of all, what I said is we demand a written apology to the students with regard, and we also request that the board participate in anti-Black racism training. We also ask for a freedom of information request for when was the last time that the board refused a delegation because they did meet 5 days ago. And also, on top of that, we would like a review of the implementation of the Together We Rise program, as we do not trust the board regarding its implementation. And finally, we would also like to file a complaint with the Integrity Commission against your conduct and your anti-Black racism. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can. Thank you very much.
Good, thank you.
So,
Where do I go?
we can arrange to give you the information, but I'm going to start at the bottom, if that's okay, to file the complaint. The Integrity Commissioner has a firm called Guide Mediation, and I have the information that I can give you. As far as a freedom of information request, that's not something that we can do for you. You need to go through that process through the provincial government.
Okay.
And ask your question, and then it comes to us.
You know. Yeah, I was just wondering.
Sorry, okay, my mistake.
Oh, okay.
So again, we'll give you the information for that.
Oh, great. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay. As far as a written apology is concerned, I am not clear on what kind of a written apology you want, and it's not something that I think is possible, but perhaps we could discuss it.
Oh, I'm sure we can.
I beg your pardon?
If you need to, I'm sure we have many capable people that can help you write it. I'm sure that we also could leverage, I don't know.
You're talking, excuse me, sir, you're talking about an issue that is something that I don't know what it is. It was.
Oh, okay.
I have.
Yeah.
Madam Chair, for you. What he said, he said one of our trustee made a comment and called students of marginalized.
I believe he did not.
Oh, wow, I thought I did. I think, ma'am, I do appreciate that. Excuse me. I do not like people telling me what I thought I said.
Thank you, Trustee Green. I was not responding to you, sir.
Okay.
There is no We have no record of any
Oh, wow.
of that comment.
Okay.
Trustee, can I just finish, Trustee McDonald? I know you want to answer.
We'll just leave it at that. Thank you.
Okay.
Hi. Good night. I hope you guys remember me from the last board meeting. My name is Ms. Hilton.
Yes, Ms. Hilton.
Perfect. So my question from the last time still stands, in which I made reference to the chair at the meeting on August 24th, which my brother was August 24th, that's on public record.
Ms. Hilton, we're not going to discuss.
Hold on, I'm asking my question that was not answered, and it still stands.
That's
I would
because
like
said
to
that
know when the chair is going to make a public apology about the comments made towards Trustee McDonald. And I didn't get a response.
You didn't?
My email was taken, and I have gotten nothing. So my question still stands. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee, excuse me, sir. Trustee McDonald? Could I just let Trustee McDonald speak?
Yes. You said you had no record of the what was mentioned by the previous speaker before that lady. And I came on this board on the 27th of August, and I raised a concern after you failed on several attempts to grant me a private session to discuss my concerns. I mentioned publicly and to you individually about the fact that we're having a lunch with Trustee Davies and other people. It was not a private. It was not a private conversation, and you refuse to grant it. So I don't understand how you can say that you did not. You have no record of it, because it is extremely humiliating and insulting for me as a Black woman to have somebody call a school that has a lot of, and I'm not being aggressive or angry, I am passionate and I'm frustrated. Okay?
Thank you, Trustee.
And so I'm not threatening anybody with my tone, but you put yourself in my shoes when you have, after I have married, I may have gone to high school in Jamaica, but I was married to a man who came to this country, and for 40 years, he has been treated badly by school boards, and nothing concrete is changing for his children. And I refuse to sit silently when a school that has a high population of Black students can be referred to as a criminal. And this is the hill I will die on. I am not letting it go.
Thank you. I understand that. Ms. Hilton is gone. Sir,
Hi.
could you give your name, please?
My name is Richard Adokesi. How's everyone doing? Okay, so today I attended this because of this matter of McCrimmon being referred to as McCriminal. You know, my first question is, how is this board addressing that situation, right? And apart from that, today I came in, first time here, and it was, I heard presentation from the counselor here, Dr. Rubb, talking about her mental health and her being bullied. I heard the people here talking about being bullied. And me being here, I'm seeing counselors getting bullied. So how are you supposed to teach the children in schools about anti-bullying if there's bullies in the council? Also, I see reactions from different council members, and I'm hearing people talking, and people in the back here are clapping, and I know probably people here on the council want to clap, but it's like they're afraid. Honestly, this is unacceptable. I was going through a mix of emotions today, to be honest. And I'm sure probably everyone here, and even the people who probably be here, I don't know if every week is like this, or I don't know how often you guys have it, but she said last week she went and she couldn't even sleep.
Sir, again.
So my question again, earlier today, there was a delegation, and they said the delegation should be referred. And thank you, Mr. Green, for pushing on and saying, no, it hasn't happened in the 13 years you've been here. Thank you, Kathy McDonald, says 6 years you haven't been here. And then when she said that, you said, oh, 6 years, I'm surprised it's been that long. That's bullying.
No, that's not what I said.
That's exactly what you said.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
So my question right now, I want to know, like with the council, if the council members could speak, because lately everyone here been speaking. I want to hear from the councilors, on your opinions of what you guys seen tonight, how this is going to change. And when they deferred it, why did majority of the councilors put their hand up to defer it? Sir, please, I want to hear from the councilors. Before anyone else here talks, I want to hear from the councilors, please.
Public question period. You direct the questions to the
So you guys
to
don't
the
answer
chair.
the questions?
To the chair. My answer to you, sir, is I will give you the information for the integrity commissioner. If you would like to make a complaint against an individual
Okay, you need to be
trustee
replaced.
or the
Straight up. You need to be replaced. You shouldn't be in that
Thank you,
seat.
sir. That's an
You shouldn't be in that
inappropriate
seat.
comment. That's an inappropriate comment, and I don't appreciate it.
That is very appropriate. People are clapping. It's very appropriate. And I'm just saying, like you're not in the right position right now because
Thank
you
you,
should
sir.
be
That's
should be representing as a reflection of the rest of the councilors
And
and the
you-
trustees.
I ask you to not say that. I think that's inappropriate.
Okay, so
And
I don't know.
I
I want to hear from the councilors. This is my first time here, so
You
I don't
can
know if
answer-
this is every week. It's
So,
like this.
Yes, no,
Oh.
because it's the first time here, you don't understand
Oh,
the
I don't understand.
procedure, and that's what it is. It's the public question period is the opportunity for the public to ask normally one question, and to the chair, and the chair attempts to answer. If they are able to answer, that's good. If not, we would ask to take the question back, depending on the question. The question you're asking, sir, has got to go through the integrity commissioner. And again, we're happy to give you that information. You can speak to the integrity commissioner about an individual trustee, about myself, who I'm acting as the chair tonight. You can talk to them about the entire board. That's entirely up to you.
All right. Well, please give me direction because that has to be done. Has to be done. I just
Okay.
make the reflection of the trustee, make it reflect into the schools. That's what needs to happen. It shouldn't be discrimination. Shouldn't be bullying.
You're
These are things we
absolutely
want to
right.
eliminate. So it has to start from where you're sitting.
Yes, you're absolutely right.
All right,
And
thank
that's why we volunteer, and that's why you come here to ask us questions, because you know the same thing. You know that there shouldn't be bullying. You know that there shouldn't be discrimination. We know that as well. The fact that all of us in this room are working together to try and get past that is what's important. As I said before, the fact that you give us information, well, you're welcome to walk away, sir. If you'd like to leave your information with the executive assistant, we'll give you the information for the integrity commissioner. Good evening, sir.
Hello. My name is Colin Winston Derek Brown. And as per your question, is it usually like this? It usually is. My question to the board now is, do you see us in chains? What I mean by that, I don't mean just me being a black male. I mean the youth. How can a board, so us youth, we look up to you. We respect you. We want to be like all of you. But how can a board member call another school a criminal? Do you see us in chains? Is that what you see me? In chains?
No.
So then what's being done about
Is
it?
that the answer to your question?
No, what's being done about
That was
it?
your question. That's the answer to your question.
Wow, okay.
Yes, a voice problem. Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Yes.
Again.
I just wanted to know, due to the nature of those serious allegations about that comment made about McCrimmon Middle School, has there been an investigation launched through the board to find out those allegations were actually true?
I'm sorry, sir, I don't know the answer to that question.
Why not, though? It's been an issue that has come up. And if there is an investigation, will
No, sir,
there has not been an investigation?
I don't know.
Right.
Because it would go through the Integrity Commissioner.
Right. So
And
will
then
the consequences for the trustee who made that statement, if it's true, be asked to step down based on the racist connotations that are associated with that comment? Yes or no? Does it not warrant, in the sense that a trustee is there for the betterment of a student's life?
Yes.
And all students, and in a constituency that has such a racialized population, and referring to the students as criminals is degrading?
That's incorrect.
Well, if that is correct, it is degrading, insulting, and that person would need to step down based on representing that school. Do you agree, Mr. Davies?
If that was, excuse me, sir, you need to
Oh, sorry,
talk
my
to the chair.
apologies.
I beg your pardon?
Oh, I apologize. I didn't mean to point out Mr. Davies.
Thank you very much. Again, if the complaint has been made through the Integrity Commissioner, the consequences, the decision will come back to the board with recommendations as to what would happen. This would be for any situation that involves the Integrity Commissioner,
Right.
whether it's a situation, trustee to trustee, staff.
And
to
has
trustee,
the board
a parent.
and the teachers been required to do anti-discrimination training?
Yes. Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
And what does that entail? Is it like half a day, full day, a questionnaire? What does that entail?
Well, I think possibly, I don't think we have questionnaires, but there are many different ways.
So many, but what is the
Anti-racism
process?
training.
Because you've done it, obviously. What's the process?
What is so far, the process that I have gone through was a half-day training, yes, it was a half-day training. It was unfortunate that it was only a half day, but the rest of the training that is planned will be coming. I
When?
expect, even though I don't know, sir.
Why not? You're the board, though. You should know this, and it's obviously an important issue.
No, sir, I don't, because it has to be, it is not something that I set. It is not a program that I set. There are, I'm sorry?
I think it speaks for itself right now. I mean, I'm not being disrespectful, but it sounds like you're scrambling for words. And if nothing is being done, things will remain the same. And I can guarantee you, this board meeting has got a representation from our community. Next meeting is going to be, you're going to have to get more seats. And it's not going to go away until it's answered. So I highly suggest that you deal with the issue and you have answers for the next meeting. Thank you very
Again, sir,
much.
I did not say that we're not dealing with any issue. I said that we need to go through the Integrity Commissioner, and so I wouldn't know the answer.
Okay.
Director Joshua.
So through you, Chair, I'll just want to recognize that we have brought reports forward to the board around our We Rise Together action plan. To say that we've completed all of our training would be incorrect. We are continuing to engage our staff, our educators and others in our buildings on regular and ongoing conversations and training. There's much work to be done, we recognize that, but I would encourage any member of the community to connect with the reports that we do have on our board website with regard to the We Rise Together action plan and the efforts that have been put in place to date. Again, I'll emphasize that we are on a journey. There are several things that we still need to continue to do. Part of that is to continue to hear the voices of our students and our community, and we recognize that together we will continue to accomplish the work that needs to be done in support of our marginalized students.
Thank you. Yes, finally your turn, sir. I think I pointed to you first. Thank you for being patient.
Once again, my vocal cords are messed
Yeah.
up. I've
Oh, yeah.
requested this gentleman to read all my questions, then they should be answered today. Thank you.
He just wants me to read his questions. Just like,
Yes.
is that going to be okay? You're not going to interrupt
Yeah.
again? Okay. All right. All right. Yes, Mom. Anyways,
Excuse me, sir. I believe were you here at the last board meeting, sir?
yeah.
Yes? And,
No, but I actually was here the last meeting too. But,
so do you know if it's the same question that he asked? We
No.
tried to respond to his questions, but we didn't have any, I'm sorry, I can't hear if you keep.
Wait. I'm not that guy. I can't answer for him. I can't speak for him.
I was looking at him.
So then why were you talking to
ask
me?
him. I beg your pardon?
Then why were you talking to me? Can you? Yeah, because I'm really confused. Is she talking to me or you? This is like playing.
No, I'm not saying that you can't read the question, sir.
No, what I'm saying is that I don't know if you're talking to me or him, and this is like playing a broken game of telephone, like the kindergartners play. So.
I wish my vocal cords were good.
Yes, sir.
ENT specialists are working on them. Hopefully, by a couple of weeks, I'll be okay. Now,
You can just read
yeah,
your
just check.
Yeah, because this
Okay,
Yeah, it's fine. You can have him ask your questions.
sure. Thank
I just wanted to
Sure.
to say
Okay.
that we didn't have any contact information.
Yeah,
for you.
there are a few quick questions. One of them is, first of all, let me really appreciate Trustee Green, Trustee Dacrobe, and Trustee McDonald for the boldness. Now, the first question,
I will read the question for you. Do you want me to read it for you?
can she read?
I will read it for you because they just hurt my son's feelings.
Okay.
So I'll read it.
Sure.
This gentleman has written, last week I asked the following question and it was not answered. Please answer the question in public, in the public period. Kathy McDonald brought up a concern.
I'm sorry, I won't answer a question about a named trustee.
Okay.
I would
Do you want me
like,
to change
I would,
it? Hold on.
I would,
Is it okay if I change it? Thank you.
I would like him,
A trustee, is that better? Brought up a concern regarding systematic discrimination. What is the board doing about the concern that the other trustee was yelling at her? That's it? You have to answer, he said.
thank you.
You want me to read this? Okay. Oh, okay.
Madam Chair,
Yes?
I would request you to answer the question, please.
Yes, I was just waiting for you to finish your conversation.
Question is done.
Thank you. The question will be answered when the trustee returns.
Well,
I'm afraid I don't know. But
Madam
again, if you would like to leave, if you could just leave your information so that we could communicate with you. Sir, I could give you more information.
Madam Chair,
Yes?
why could the question not be answered? Like you did mention that the chair is allowed to leave 3 meetings. Now, is he sick or something that he's missing the meetings, or is
That's
he?
a personal question, sir, that I'm not going to answer.
Okay, sure. Okay. Second question is, how many delegations have been turned away in the past 10 years, and how many of them involved equity issues regarding race?
How many delegations have we had in the last 10 years?
The question is, how many delegations have been turned away in the past 10 years, and how many of them involved equity issues regarding race?
To the best of my knowledge, none have been turned away.
why did a trustee call a school that has majority black
Excuse
students
me, ma'am, we've already heard
criminal?
that question.
I'm reading the question.
Thank you, and I've heard, yes. And again, you need to go through the integrity commissioner with that question.
Okay. And ma'am,
Thank you.
I sort of feel that this board should be taken over by the ministry because nobody is doing a good job here.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing the questions. My name is Nicole Coco Lorraine Vera. I am the mother of Jordan Vera. Who in June passed away from an asthma attack. It is very hard for me to stand here. He was a part of the We Rise, and as a speaker myself, I worked at McCrimmon Middle School 10 years ago. My son was also a student at McCrimmon Middle School along with his two sisters. And back then, it was referred to as McCriminal. I have been working with the Peel District School Board for over 10 years as a youth advocate and motivational speaker. And my son took on the legacy and started as well, and was very happy to work with many of you. And the last time we had a conversation about his work and training with teachers, he said he no longer wanted to work in the board because he himself felt all of the issues that the youth themselves were feeling, especially when he was doing teacher training. I remember picking him up from one school, which I won't mention, and him having an asthma attack after he left because of the way that he felt. He was being, he was being treated unfairly with aggressions and looks, which unfortunately I'm witnessing this evening. And my question is, if we can put aside our anger, which is what my son would say, and deal with how we are dropping the ball. I can admit as a mother that I've dropped the ball even with my own son. And we have a responsibility to keep our children safe. So I would really love if we could put aside the anger and the shame out of the conversation and come together as a community and as very respected trustees and say, what are we challenged with? How have we dropped the ball? If I, as a mother, can admit that I dropped the ball and it affected my son's mental health, and he's no longer with us, then we should be able to admit, as a board, as people, that sometimes we say things that are inappropriate, and we humbly and respectfully apologize. And we work together to deal with the biases that we have, that we all carry. I would love it if we could form some kind of an additional committee. Is it possible for us to have some type of discussion about even more so than not just through the We Rise, and I'm trying to formulate my question, forgive me. On top of the We Rise initiative, if we can actually talk about ways to talk about race in a brave space. My son's program was called Black Boy Brave. And Brave Spaces is a safe space, but it's also a space where we can be honest and open without aggression to speak to the issues, because I can say firsthand with mental health, with health issues, with anti-bullying, with anti-Black racism, it affects life to the point of death. So if we could come together and maybe have ongoing discussion with some of you to just address this issue so that all of our children feel safe, all of our board members and trustees feel heard and safe and understood, so that we can be more inclusive. I'm a motivational speaker, forgive the long speech. Thank you.
Thank you.
You didn't answer the question.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Did you have a question, or?
I did. Could we
Was that
come
the
up
question?
with-
Can we come
the,
together?
The question was, can we move forward with some type of an action item where we sit down as a community without the anger, with understanding, and have a discussion about these issues? I know that this is a this is a meeting, but I think there needs to be more discussion and the community needs to be heard. Is there a way that we can facilitate some type of an open discussion where we actually talk about the systemic racism so that the public can feel heard? Is there some way to, because this might not be the appropriate time for all of us to speak, and the emotions are heated. So is there a possibility for us to get together and have further discussion about this issue from your leadership to the leadership in the seats and the leadership within our schools? Because again, this issue with McCriminal has been going on for over 10 years now. I've heard it from other staff members, I've heard it from students, and it's not new, unfortunately. So I believe it deserves more than just a.
Yes.
Is there a way to facilitate something like that?
Yes, I think that it would be wonderful if we could come together.
Okay.
And you're right. This is a difficult venue to discuss. We can't really discuss the way it's set up, and I would be more than happy to talk to you about getting together and.
Thank you. I'll leave my information with.
Please, with Ms. Baptiste.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
I'm okay, thank you. How are you?
I'm all right. I'm just kind of disturbed that majority of the questions that were asked were not answered in full context, but that's okay. Well, for my question, before I would get to that question, I like to say I go to Mayfield Secondary School. I'm a vocal major. I'm grade 10. I also went to Carberry, and we used to go to McCrimmon for certain type of events and support their school, as our teachers used to support and our school used to support that school. But another story I had before I even asked you my question. So back when I was in grade 4, I was on the field with my friend. Me and my friend Zachary and Martin, we were both walking on the field, and we come across a bag of weed or whatever it was, and we picked it up. We asked a volunteer, like a student teacher, if we can go to the office and hand it into the office because we found it, because we don't know whose it is. We go into the office, and he let my friend go, but I had to stay. I didn't know why I had to stay. I had to write a full letter of apology of why I found it and how it got there, because it was mine. Apparently, it was mine. I wanted to know why I was the only one in the room. I wanted to know why 911 was called on me. Why would 911 was called on me? Why was I talking to a cop with cuffs in his hand? Do I look like someone who has drugs? Do I look like someone who has drugs? Do I look like someone who needs to be called 911 on? Do I need to be put in cuffs? Do I need to be put in cuffs? Why am I being questioned? I don't understand. And tell me why. Another principal at Mayfield Secondary School, Lionel Colts, was wearing blackface during Halloween. Can someone answer that question? He wore blackface. Blackface.
Yes.
Did you hear about that?
Yes.
And then why was that?
Why?
What was done about it? That's what I
Why
want to
did
know.
I hear about it?
No, what was done about it? That's what I want to know.
What was done about it?
Yes.
I can't discuss it. That's a discipline matter.
That has to do something with my culture. That has to do with me and everyone back here with me. And another one I want to know is, our school, we are celebrating our 50th anniversary at Mayfield Secondary School. Tell me why We have had our first Black History Assembly in over 50 years last year. 50 years, our first Black History Assembly, our first one. And you know what it was? A slideshow showing about black trailblazers from Canada. What is that? No one came in to speak.
I don't know. I don't know. My assumption was that
It's crazy because
Black History Month is celebrated through the entire board.
It's crazy because when I use the washroom too, I see, sorry for my French, I see, when I'm using the washroom, I see F you niggers on the washroom stalls and in the washroom. Why do I see that? Why is racism being practiced around my school? So-called practice. Why is anti-Black racism not being taught? I went through a whole history course without learning about Black people. It's either a week about Black people or 2 days all about Martin Luther King or probably Richard Spear or something. I forgot his name, but it was all of that. And why is that? Why is Rise a field trip? It should be coming to the school to tell everyone about it, especially because my school is predominantly a white school in the middle of Caledon. It's not fair. Another question I have is, why is it impossible for an apology to the McCriminals, the so-called McCriminals? Why is it impossible for us to get an apology for students to go to that school? Because imagine, do you think those kids will not be an aspiring whatever they want to be when they grow up? Those kids have dreams and goals, but imagine being called a criminal. Imagine me being called a criminal. Imagine all of us being called criminals. Do we look like criminals to you?
No.
So my question is to you, as we say here today, why can't there be a written apology sent out to the students of McCrimmon that someone, especially, a principal, a trustee called that school McCriminal?
Sir, again, I'm going to refer you to the Integrity Commissioner to make a complaint.
But I'm asking you, it's not a complaint, it's a question. You asked for public question period.
Yes.
So my question is, why can't there be a written apology sent out? It's not hard.
There is.
Yeah, will there be actually? Will there be?
I'm sorry?
Will there be a written apology sent out to students?
I can't answer that, sir. There's no reason for a written apology to a student.
So if you look at, do I look like a criminal to you? Are you scared?
No, sir, I'm not.
Do I look like a criminal?
No, you do not. There was no student that was referred to. There was no student referred to.
Have you, sorry, Miss Chair. Have you been to McCrimmon before?
Have I been to?
Yes.
McCrimmon Middle School? I have not.
You said what?
I said, have I been to McCrimmon Middle School? I have not.
Okay, I hope you should go because I don't think those kids look like criminals to you. I don't think anyone should be called a criminal. That's so degrading. That's so degrading.
I would agree with you, sir.
So if you agree with me, why won't you do something about it?
Sorry?
If you agree with me, why won't you do something about it?
I'm doing my best, sir.
You're not doing your best. I said apology. You said I have to go file a complaint. It's not a complaint. It's a question. Why can't you give a written apology to the school?
I can't give a written apology.
Why can't you do something about it? Yeah, will there be a written apology?
It's not up to me to do that. Again, if you can make the complaint, sir, through the Integrity Commissioner, she will investigate, they will investigate, and you will get a response that you can discuss, and the response will come to us as recommendations. Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you, Steve. Hello.
Hi.
Sorry, I can't hear, please.
Hi, so this is my cousin, and my name is Mishka Taylor. I am the mother and godmother of these three kids right here. The twin boys are my godsons, and my daughter. They all go to school here in Peel. Hearing things, I'm not new to discrimination. I'm a Black woman. I'm a mom who is I'm not wed, so instantly going into schools, I have questions, things like that I have to face, and I hold that. I'm okay, I can take that on for myself. But when I go into a school and I'm in meetings for my children or my godsons who have special needs, and they're being criminalized by the staff of the school, from the heads, like from principals, school boards even, who are looking at me as a parent and saying I'm a bad parent because of the fact that my kids who have needs are acting out in aggressive ways because they can't control it. But yet, it's, sorry, I'm a little
okay.
frustrated and I'm shaking inside. But how do we expect these kids to grow up? And Julian wants to be an archaeologist. He's the one in blue. Josiah, he wants to be a policeman. How do we expect these kids to grow up? And I said them to specifically because they're Black boys. Instantly, they're growing up with a tag on their backs. I fear for their lives on a daily basis. I'm usually very strong for myself, but when it comes to my kids, and it comes to that, like, my strength being taken away from me, because if I decide to speak up, I'm being shut down on a regular basis, similar to what some of the other trustees have experienced. It's hard for me because my hands are tied. If I get loud, instantly people shut down, they stop listening. But you have to understand that this is something that is deep-rooted in the community at school. And it affects my children because, for instance, Josiah Julian, who has, as I stated, special needs that have been diagnosed since he was 2 years old, so even before he got into the school board, he's been suspended 3 weeks for scratching an EA, someone who's supposed to be there to help him, a one-on-one EA. He scratched her because he was having a moment, and he was suspended for 3 weeks. That would never happen to another child. I'm going to say it specifically to a white child, which I've seen at their school, who have had issues and difficulties. I have firsthand witnessed, like, full-out bulletin boards being pulled from the wall from these children, and they get to go to school the next day.
And
my godson at the time, who was 4 years old, was suspended for 3 weeks for scratching someone who goes to work on a daily basis, aware of what her responsibilities are and what she may face on a daily basis.
Excuse me, have you talked to the school about it? Have you talked?
As I've stated, I have spoken to the school board. I've gone as high as I possibly can go. But this is something that, like, I'm bringing it back down because a lot of this was focused on high school students, but it starts when they get to kindergarten. Before kindergarten, even if you wanted to take it into daycares, it starts there as well, where these people are looking at our children as criminals. They're looking at them as dangerous. How does a 4-year-old cause someone so much damage with a scratch? He doesn't even have nails. He bites his nails, but he scratched her. He was able to do it. I saw the marks for myself, but that warrants a suspension of 3 weeks.
I'm sorry.
These are things, no, but sorry doesn't help because then he's growing up and this is, like, it follows you. It follows you and it stays with you, and that is in the back of your mind that if I do something, my daughter, she went to a new school because this first school she was at, her principal, I don't speak French, she went to a French school, and her principal said to, oh, well, because he was so frustrated with the fact that I was there trying to help my daughter, he said, I'm not gonna speak to you anymore in English because I don't feel like I need to. These are just things that I have to deal with on a daily basis, right? But the thing is, this is happening, our children are suffering, it is starting from they are young, this is following them up into high school. Me, as a woman who was graduated with honors from college and university, I have experienced it in the classroom, and I have to stay quiet for the most part because I don't want to be the angry Black woman because I've been conditioned to be this way. It is starting from they're young, and I don't feel that the school board, the trustees, or anyone is working in favor of these little Black boys who have dreams of becoming archaeologists. Or like my daughter who wants to be a marine biologist. Like, how does she become that if she's looking at teachers on a daily basis who she's supposed to trust, who think of her as something negative, like on a daily basis, without her even doing anything? She refuses, my daughter refuses to defend herself sometimes because of the fact that she knows how she's going to be the one who gets in trouble if she decides to defend herself when someone is picking on her. That is not okay. How do we fix this?
It's not okay, and we need to have you talk to the school. We need to have, and I need to have some support for the school from the superintendent.
I've spoken with superintendents. I've gone as far as I can go, but you have to understand that this is something that, if he's saying that he's going to school, the school's been there, the building's been there, the structure's been there for 50 years, the community within the school has been there for that amount of time, and you've only had one Black History Month. And the fact that it's even celebrated for the 1 month, that's another story, but the reality of the situation is these kids need to know where they're coming from. The people around them need to know where they're coming from because racism is something that is taught. Discrimination is something that is taught, and unless I don't expect for you guys to be able to change the mindsets of all of the people that are teaching them, but they need to have some kind of They need to have some kind of consequence if these things are continuing to happen, and they need to be able to have training to change a behavior because we can't change the way that they think. Right? But like, how do we stop this from happening so that my child can grow up, my children can grow up and believe that they're able to become what they want to become without thinking in the back of their head, well, at the end of the day, I'm going to be a drug dealer in grade 4. Like, that doesn't make any sense.
Well, I'm hoping that perhaps the woman that spoke before you and made the suggestion for the discussion group, I hope you will be able to come and we'll be able to discuss it. But as far as your particular children are concerned, we have to go back to the school and we have to talk to them again.
Okay, Chairwoman, sorry, do you have children?
Do I have children? Yes.
And what would you feel like if your children were to come home on a daily basis and tell you about the discrimination?
It's not a question about me.
No, it's a question about you as a woman, and it's a question that, as across the board, like as a board of trustees that I'm assuming multiple people on the board have children. Do you think it is okay for children of any race or cultural background to experience this on a daily basis? And do you think it is okay for your answers to all questions to be, well, we'll give you a number to call, or we'll give you someone else that you can talk to and deflect the questions?
If I can't help you, ma'am, I think that's appropriate.
But then, you have to understand, like from my...
Trying to refer you to someone who can help you, I think.
Okay, so from my perspective, I can't speak for everyone here, but like for me, I try to be, like, it's very easy to be sympathetic. I try to be empathetic in a lot of situations because it makes you understand where a person is coming from. So do you feel any empathy towards the people that are dealing with this on a daily basis?
I'm sorry,
Is there any empathy from the board or the trustees for what is going on in these schools? Because...
Yes.
And how is that shown?
How is it shown? We keep working to be better. We keep talking to parents and working to, you know that it has been said, I hope that you know, that our staff is going through anti-Black racism training. There are many ways that we're trying to help our staff deal with our children, deal with our students.
So how does the decision, or how do the decisions of the trustees affect the staff members? And why is it that the staff members are going through the same training as the trustees?
Yes. There are different programs and different trainers, but the premise is the same. We need to be better at this. Director Joshua? Yeah.
Sorry, through you, Chair. Really appreciate the comments, and it's hearkening back to Ms. Vieira's suggestion that the opportunity for our Board of Trustees and a number of people to come together and really listen and continue to listen and move things to action was a very viable suggestion. And I just want to reiterate, as Chair Lawton had mentioned, we do want to get the contact information and follow up on that suggestion. And all of your comments and concerns are the types of things that really should come to this forum so that we can be productive about listening and then acting upon.
So when can we see something like that come to fruition?
Sorry.
No, you continue.
You just need to act.
Oh, sorry.
So very important question, and I think step one is we, as Ms. Vieira offered, we'd like to have that contact and start the conversation quickly about how we can mobilize and have that type of session. Because that's going to be a very important opportunity, and it was a wonderful suggestion to do more than just talk, but actually look for viable action.
Good evening, my name is Debbie Dunn. Hello, Chair?
I'm sorry. Whoops, I'm being asked questions on two sides.
I'll wait till you finish, before I start. Are you finished?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, all right. So, I'm hearing and I'm really confused because I feel like there is no real empathy for what's going on. I feel like there's a lot of lip service. I feel like there's a lot of microaggression. And as somebody who's grew up in Peel, somebody who went to the district school board, I have children. And how many people here have children? Like, I don't know how many of you, can you just put your hands up if you have children, please? Put your hand up high so I can see. If you have children, boys or girls. You guys, none of you have children? Nobody else has children?
This is
Just please, let me speak
period.
now.
Yeah,
No. So as I was saying, every day, I have to have a conversation with my son and my daughter that I'm sure you don't have to have. This is a conversation that's real for me because I have to be concerned about, you go out, what's gonna happen? Are you gonna come home? Not because you're a criminal, not because you found weed on the floor, but because of the fact that people think that. That is a problem. I'm having conversations that other people don't have to have with their children. I'm having conversations that people don't even think about when it comes to their children. That is my reality. I have lived experience. All of us here have lived experience. And so when you say, just now you said, you've done anti-racism training, you said you worked to make it better, how come you have not addressed the trustee's question that she had from before?
Again, ma'am, it is not
Why
up
has
to
it
us.
not, I'm not finished yet. Why has it not been addressed? The problem is, you guys, it seems to me like there's a lot of pet and powdering. What that means is that, you guys say something, you want us to now, I think it's one of the gentlemen just said, you know what, you guys, it's okay, you know what, you guys want to have a talk? Let's get you have a talk, let's get you off the floor. It's very easy to push things aside, but we're not being pushed aside. I need to ask a question. You said, the lady mentioned about her children. My kids have gone through the school board already, but I still have nieces and nephews that are doing it. And one thing I want to say is racism is taught one generation after the other after the other. And when you become a teacher, it's really important. You hold the key for kids, right? It's important. When I send my child out to school, I'm expecting something. I'm not expecting them to think that they're a criminal, that they have to deal with microaggressions, because that's not what I expect. However, that is reality. That is the reality. And at the end of the day, everybody here has to understand that that is a reality. Everybody has their own bias. But when you're gonna call a school like McCrimmon, a school like that, it's unacceptable. And the fact that nothing has been done already tells me a lot. The fact that it was heard first, it should have been dealt with. Somebody should have jumped on that and said, you know what, totally unacceptable, we gotta deal with this, this is a community, we care. But that hasn't happened. That has not happened yet. And the fact that the community has to come in here and almost beg you to do something doesn't make sense. And the fact that you're just so nonchalant about it is really disrespectful. Let me finish. Extremely disrespectful. I'm gonna ask you a question, I'm speaking. It's extremely disrespectful. And the fact that it is, you keep doing it over and over and over, and every time somebody comes up, it's like you wanna just push it underneath the rug. It's not right. So I wanted to say, cutting a tree down before it can grow, how can it reach its full potential? That's what you do to our kids. That's what happens to our children. You cut them down before they can grow because of your bias, microaggressions, all these things. You, Chair, said that you've done anti-racism training. Is that what you said? Just to be clear, did you say that? Anti-Black racism, thank you.
I said,
You said you did. Okay, so let me ask you a
day.
question. Can you, Chair, define what anti-Black racism is, please? That's my question. Can you define it and tell us all what it is here? I'm waiting for the answer.
So, can I define what it is?
Yes, please. You said you've taken it. You're doing
I
it.
said I'd taken half a day, yes.
No,
And
well,
I
okay,
didn't.
half a day. Even if you've taken half a day, you're getting paid to do the training. So my question is, can you please define it? Do you need some more time?
I'm sorry?
Do you need some more time?
Well,
Yes? No?
Not-
It's either yes, you can define it, or no, you can't define it. I just want it on the record.
and I'm trying to put it into words.
It's either yes or no. If you can't put it in words, then it's no. If you can put it in words, then it's yes.
If that's you. Yes.
So again, my question to you, Chair, is do you know the answer to the question, yes or no?
If you don't mind.
No, I don't. I'm not asking you to speak. She is quite quick to tell everybody to address her only. So let's just address her only. Thank you very much.
Sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
Oh, let me repeat. I'll
I'm
repeat it
quick
for
to-
you again. The question is, can you please define anti-Black racism?
Just now. I mean, you said,
No, can you just answer the question for me? Yes or no?
no.
No. Okay. All right. So, just a minute. So the fact that you can't define it tells me that you probably need some more training as well.
Yes, I do.
Right.
Absolutely, I do.
Okay. The other thing I
Absolutely.
want to say is it racism to call students at McCriminals? Yes or no?
Sorry.
Is it racist to call students, right, within the board that are at McCrimmon as McCriminals? Yes or no?
I'm not going to answer that question.
Why not?
Because it's never happened.
Pardon me?
I'm sorry. Again,
No,
I'm
again.
going to-
Not
no.
again, not again. The question is it racist or
I'm going to
not?
ask you to let me speak. I said, again, I'm going to tell you, the answers that you want, you'll get through the Integrity Commission.
I'm not talking to
They're
the
not-
no. Just a
Well,
minute.
if you're not talking to the Integrity
I'm not talking to the
Commissioner,
integrity. You know what?
that- yeah.
You know, again, your microaggressions. I don't appreciate it. Okay, you specifically keep asking people. Ask me the question. Ask me the question. I'm asking you a question. You are the chair of the board. Are you telling me that you can't tell me whether or not that's racist? Come on.
I'm not.
It's either yes or no. And you can't answer the question? You should be ashamed of yourself. You should be ashamed to sit there. You should be ashamed to say that you're the chair. Come on. You should be ashamed. It's disrespectful. And no, it's disrespectful that you sitting there can't even say yes? Really? Wow.
I'm not sure that.
I'm not sure either. Is it
Okay,
racist
so
to
if
call?
you're not gonna let
Is
me
it
answer,
racist to
then I
call
think that-
No, it's not that. Is it racist to call them criminals? You don't know if that's racist? Like, how old are you?
I do not call a child.
I didn't ask you. I didn't ask you. I said, is it? I did not ask you. I said, is it? You are the chair of the board. Is it yes or no? Is it racist or is it not racist? It's pretty simple. It's not a rocket scientist question.
I know nothing about McCrimmon.
You clearly know
School.
nothing. You don't even know what
Thank
black
you very much.
anti-racism
That's
is.
enough. You're out of order. Sit
I'm
down,
not out
please.
of order. You are
Yes,
out of
you
order.
are out of order.
You are out of order, madam. You are out of order. I'm not out of order. I live this every day. I live this every day. They live it every day. You don't live it every day. So therefore, do not tell me that I am out of.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. No, I'm going to have to ask you to leave, ma'am. Sorry? Thank you. I'd like to hear this speaker and one other, and we'll be done. Well, I did.
Thank you. With the chair's permission, I've asked to speak, and I know that there's more questions that are coming, and I just want to let you know that I am very deeply concerned about the things that I've heard today, and I know I can't even imagine. And you heard me talk a little bit about some of my experiences as a female minority, but that does not even compare to what a parent would have to go through, not knowing if their child is going to come home or not knowing if their child is going to be labeled as a criminal or something like that. So I want to say that as much as I support your cause and I understand your struggles, I can't even imagine it because it's so much deeper than what I would have experienced and my family would have experienced. What I want to say is that what I've been hearing tonight is there's a lot of concerns coming from the community, but there's one particular concern about a comment that was made about a school being called McCriminal. And the person who has the authority to investigate that would be the Integrity Commissioner. Could the board commit to contacting, because I know what I'm hearing from the board coming back is, go ahead and call the Integrity Commissioner and file a complaint. Could the board commit to contacting the Integrity Commissioner tomorrow morning and ask her to investigate this? Because obviously it's now a public concern. Obviously the community is concerned, and it's not something that we can just ignore because it's coming before us. So
thank you, Trustee.
I don't think it takes much for, I don't know what the process is. I don't file a lot of these complaints, but I'm sure someone can make a phone call and say. Would that be something that you'd feel comfortable with for tonight?
I would. Put your back.
Okay, Madam Chair, I will go out on the limb. I am one of the trustees that represent that school, and I will take the lead and file a complaint.
Thank you. Do you have a question?
Hi, so if you just hear me out for a bit, I lost my voice, so I'm trying to get it back. My name is Cheryl Woolnough. Some of you superintendents and trustees will know me based on our interactions working within schools. Previously, up until June, as an itinerant behavior, the only black female representing marginalized students. So I was the first teacher in the unit. Others were hired in and with higher seniority, and through myself and my colleague, South Asian, no more marginalized representation, where within a unit that represents majority of black students. Standing here today is most likely a risk because many have told me it's career suicide, because speaking out is not what we do because there's a culture of fear in the board. Many of my colleagues, VPs, currently VPs, and those in the pool wanted to come, but they are frightened that their faces being shown will hinder their movement forward because there is a culture of fear of speaking out when things are wrong. I'm here to take that chance because I wouldn't be a teacher if I wouldn't be here tonight. I love my job. It's hard, it's busy, it's exhausting, but the additional piece of anti-Black racism and microaggressions on a daily basis affects our mental health. But we have to walk in there every day with a brave face and have to fight the good fight to support the students that we serve. When I started as an itinerant 8 years ago, I'm back in a school now because I lost my role based on the cuts. I first heard that name, a criminal. I was mortified. What was more mortifying was hearing it from staff members that worked in the building. I don't know if that's since changed, but I also heard it moving around in the rounds as an itinerant teacher. But I've also heard Meadowvale called Meadow Jail. I know my career is probably done standing here, but I stand by myself because I am who I am and I represent my students and I love them all. And anybody that's worked with me knows me. My question, as hard as it may be, and as challenging as it may be that I put to you is it possible to change the name of McCrimmon? I know it was made in light of the hockey player that passed, but based on the fact that no one's looking at it from an ex-hockey player who passed away. No one these days are looking at it from that perspective. They're looking at it because it's a marginalized community of Black students, and again, being tagged as criminals. And I've seen this time and time again as I've moved around in my role, keeping and fighting to keep kids in school and not in alternative programs. And I can hand on heart say, in all the 8 years, 5 kids that I lost because I had no control. Only 5, but 5 too many. Whereas others, it's a common piece, semester after semester. And we praise those programs, but who are in those programs? So my question, hand on heart, is can the board look at changing that school's name? Thank you.
Thank you. So, excuse me, does Ms. That's okay, does Ms. Bepti have your contact information? If you choose to leave it for an answer? Oh, I'm sorry, she's over here.
Hi.
Thank you, and I thank you for the suggestion. Last question.
All right. Good evening, ladies and
evening.
gentlemen, trustees. My name is Warren Salmon. I'm the president of the Ontario Alliance of Black School Educators, which is a network of Black educators, parents, students, community organizations, and those interested in the education of our children from across the province. The comments that we've been discussing tonight have come to our attention, and we have some grave concerns. These are egregious comments. They're unacceptable and totally, blatantly discriminatory. When a trustee denigrates a school with a large Black population by calling it criminal, he's engaging in anti-Black racism. And also, which is being perpetrated on innocent Black children. And these kinds of comments just reinforces negative stereotypes and reproduces systemic racism, inequalities, and contribute to the root cause of the school to prison pipeline. We received several complaints from our members and community members expressing dismay and distrust at these comments and the way that this trustee has spoken about students in his ward. You know, black people and black males in particular are systemically targeted and criminalized in society by the police, in the school system, the media, and other institutions. So comments like this add to the fuel the fire of racism, mental health and well-being, and further contribute to injustice. The Ontario Alliance of Black School Educators finds these comments to be in contravention of the PDSB, the Peel District School Board Trustee Code of Conduct. So my question is, you know, I thank Trustee Green and, you know, Krob and Trustee McDonald, the other trustees who've offered to take some action, but my question is, what else does the board plan to do about this? So I'd like to ask that question.
So this suggestion was made by Trustee Green that he will, I'm sorry, Trustee Green, did you say you'd be in touch with the Integrity Commissioner, or just in general that you would? So Trustee Green will take that on as he represents that school.
Okay, are there any other actions that the board would take to address this matter?
Once we get some information from the Integrity Commissioner, we'll continue to work through it.
Okay. And does all right, sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I was just going to say, again, we're happy to report on it if we can have your contact information.
Okay. And does the district have a zero tolerance policy with respect to blatant and systemic racism? And if not, will it establish one?
I don't think we have a specific policy about, I'm looking for help from staff. But I would think, thank you. Associate Director Graywell.
Thank you, through you, Chair. So I guess it was last year at some point, Trustee McDonald had put a motion on the floor around creating an anti-racism policy. That motion was passed by the board. So we are currently working with a number of staff members where we are creating a policy around anti-racism.
Thank you.
Do you have any timelines with respect to that?
So again, through you, Chair, we're hoping to have a policy back to the Board of Trustees by January.
Okay. All right.
Thank you. So we'll go to, I'm sorry, that was the last question, ma'am.
Good evening, everybody.
We're moving on to item 18, further business. Seeing
Excuse
none.
me. Yeah, my name is Blessing Ajayi.
Can I have the adoption of the in-committee minutes? Trustee B. McDonald? And Trustee Marchant, will you second? Thank you. And item 20, adjournment. Trustee Crocker? Trustee Crocker, will you adjourn?
Okay, Sue,
Adjourn?
I don't think she understood you. Can you please explain?
I'm sorry, I had said that there were the last two questions. So I'm sorry, we're done with question period? And adjournment. Yeah. If you could come, excuse me, if you could come to the next board meeting, we'd be happy to hear you. Or if you would like to send your question to us, we will respond to it. Thank you. I'm sorry we're adjourned. Trustee McDonald, Trustee Benjamin. Thank you. Can somebody help get her information?